Mike's off. Mine's was.
All right, everybody, please take a seat. Good morning, boys and girls. I'm your substitute teacher, Mr. Tinman. Now, first assignment today is what you want to be when you grow up. So we're gonna go around the room. You over there with the Afro puffs. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I'm thinking about a hairstylist or like a designer.
Those are some pretty good professions. And you over there in the Marlins jersey. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a baseball player.
Oh, that's a pretty awesome profession as well. And you over there sitting there with the tiara. What would you like to be when you grow up?
I want to be a DJ.
Oh, that's a pretty crafty profession. And you, back there with the buzzsaw dreads. What would you like to be when you grow up?
You know what?
I want to be a motherfucking soldier. You better ask somebody.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Like we do it in the Jamaican world. Pull up. Like we gonna have to run that back one more time. Listen, this is what happens when you do live show. Live things happen. So pull up one time for the one time. Let's try that again, please.
All right, everybody, please take a seat. Good morning, boys and girls. I'm your substitute teacher, Mr. Tinman. Now, first assignment today is what you want to be when you grow up. So we're going to go around the room. You over there with the Afro puffs. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I'm thinking about a hairstylist or like a designer.
Those are some pretty good professions. And you over there in the Marlins jersey. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a baseball player.
Oh, that's a pretty awesome profession as well. And you over there sitting there with the tiara. What would you like to be when you grow up?
I want to be a DJ.
Oh, that's a pretty crafty profession. And you, back there with the buzzsaw dreads. What would you like to be when you grow up?
I want to be a motherfucking soldier. You better ask somebody.
MyT.
Good evening and welcome back to another edition of the Mighty Sports Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Talent Throw My Taylor with my co-host KJ. Say what's up to the people.
Yo, what it do, people? How you living?
It is December 4th. It is the week after Thanksgiving. I know everybody in the world is thankful for something. We may talk about it. Unless you're Alabama, that is. But it's December 4th. It is like, believe it or not, like 50 degrees down here in South Florida. It's another one of them days. The AC is
Beautiful
off.
weather.
To me, listen, for South Florida to say the AC is off, that's a lot. So the AC is off. All of the windows is open. The breeze is flowing. You already know what I like to say. What does my brethren Bob says? The sun is shining. The weather is sweet. It makes me want to move my dancing feet to the rescue. Here I am. Woo, we got a lot to talk about today. Listen, Big Trust comes through on another one. The NFL MJ decides to wag his tongue. There's a shakeup going on in New York. Wait, there's a shakeup going on in North Carolina. We got the NBA Player of the Week to talk about. We obviously have our top 5 to go through. We got NFL Week 13 and 14. KJ got a bomb for me, apparently. And apparently the roll tide has turned into roll slides. And we got a proposition for the NCAA. Can we all get it through today? We don't know. But you know what I do know? Regardless of the time. Let's try that one more time. Regardless. I don't know what's going on with my sound man today. Regardless of the time.
Take that.
Thank you, my guy. And regardless of the weather. Now we don't fuck with me. The chaos is starting early. It's always a good time to talk some sports. Let's start talking MyT sports. Woo! Back at it like sports fanatics. KJ, what it do?
Man, there was a lot of shit going down this weekend, man. A lot of good stuff going on. Where you want to start at?
I want to start with the NBA Player of the Week. I want to start like
Melo.
I didn't want to talk about Melo. I want to talk about the NBA Players of the Week because.
Oh, you didn't want to talk about Melo?
Because you know what?
Damn. You know, my man.
Because Giannis Antetokounmpo was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and we're on the East Coast. We're both from New York. We're both East heads.
But
Giannis,
Melo.
listen, see, I know the people are excited, and I know the people thought I was gonna start off with Melo because these guys are like, yo, you're a Melo fan, we get it, T. Like, yo,
dude.
Like, but Giannis had a 50 burger in there, which helped earn him that player of the week. He ain't just had a 50 burger. He had 50 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. And that was the top of the night. You know what his worst performance that week was? 26 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal.
Oh, wow.
That was his worst performance.
Trade him. He's horrible. Trade him. He sucks.
He had another game of 30 points and 12 rebounds. Another game of 30 points, 12 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks.
Mediocre. He's average at best. Trade him.
They beat their teams 122, 118, 111, 102, 119, 110, 137 to 96. 137 to 96 was the game that he played the worst.
This dude is just simply reminding niggas, yo, I'm still the motherfucking MVP, and you better act like you fucking know.
Well, their team does have the best team in the league, but they do share it with somebody. But we ain't gonna talk about them yet.
Fuck
but we are gonna go to the West because it is time that we talk about the Western Player of the Week.
Melo!
Say it again for them.
Melo!
One more time for the one time.
C to the A to the R to the M to the E to the L to the O. Carmelo Anthony.
They call him Mellow Yellow. Carmelo. And now, there was a part of me when I first heard this that Carmelo Anthony made the Player of the Week. What I was like,
it was definitely a sympathy award, a welcome back at you balling award.
Like,
but I don't give a shit.
Like, but as you say,
I don't give a
we
shit.
don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit
Because
that's my man.
You know what he did? Because you know what? Because regardless of it was sympathy or not, you know what he just got? The Player of the Week. And you know what he hasn't had since 2014?
The Player of the Week award.
When he last played for our
New York Knicks.
Yeah, baby.
When we was somewhat okay,
when we had Woody and
and then
Jason.
the fucking bum ass Pacers took us out the playoffs.
But Carmelo Anthony had a game, 23 points. Now let's not even talk about that yet. He had a game most recently against Chicago. They won 117 to 94.
Shit on the
Oh, wait, is that ghost showers? I wasn't expecting ghost showers. Okay, I'll take ghost showers. I was expecting a different song, but okay, I could take Ghost Showers. All right. Right. They beat Chicago, and we saw what they did Chicago previous. Like we talked about. I think that Chicago game may have been happening while we were here on the last podcast, maybe because
so. If it
because
wasn't,
we
probably
saw
the
him
next
balling against. I feel like we saw him balling against Chicago, or we communicated that
niggas.
night. It may have happened.
Might have been us communicating. All I know is he was dragging them niggas.
25 points, the most recent game. 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal.
We're not gonna talk about the Clippers game last night.
Well, we'll talk about the Player of the Week award.
The Player of the Week of the shit.
The Player of the Week award week.
Yeah, the relevant week.
He played Oklahoma City. They beat him 136 to 119. He had
Dragged them
19
niggas
points,
too.
4 rebounds, 2 assists.
Facts.
And
Drag
then
them niggas.
against Chicago as well, right? Because they played them twice that week. They also balled out.
Drag
23
them niggas.
points, 11 rebounds.
Drag them
4
niggas.
assists
Light
and a
double on that ass.
So Carmelo Anthony ends up with 22 points and just a shy under 10 rebounds. A little bit more than a shy. A little bit more.
And
than
they
a
tried
shy.
to say my man shouldn't be in the league. Fuck out of here, man.
They try to keep him out the league. That's basically 22 points and 8 rebounds a game. Now, granted,
Right.
now also we all know he's exactly what Portland needed, right?
Facts.
He's what Portland needed.
Portland actually needs more than just
Yeah,
him.
but
That's another
he's
topic
the
for another time.
he's the first injection in the arm that Portland needed.
Yes.
Portland was still on the plateau. And we saw it. We saw how easily they got ran through by Golden State again. We already know if they were to play the LA Lakers, it would be a roll tight end. We would
Absolutely.
we knew,
and they really haven't made no upgrades.
we know if they played the Clippers, it would be a roll tight end.
Case in point last night.
You know what I mean? So it's for not for nothing. It goes back to another point I've had before. I get why Melo did it. Somebody was interested in him. You wanted a job, and it was a starting job. You take it. This doesn't do anything for Melo's career more than anything else. Like help him get an NBA championship, I think. No. And I feel like it is just the same exact move when he went to. I don't know why you haven't put your phone on silent by now. Why haven't you learned?
Because I be telling motherfuckers don't call me.
That don't stop them.
Damn.
They're worse than bill collectors. They're your friends.
Shit.
They really don't care. They have no laws to abide by.
You know, like damn.
So, this went to another point I had back in the day is that I never understood why Carmelo Anthony went to Oklahoma City. I thought Carmelo Anthony should have went to Cleveland.
Right.
And the reason I say that, now people think I'm crazy sometimes. It's okay. I am a little crazy. But as Caesar once said, and it wasn't Caesar.
There's method to the madness.
But Shakespeare said, and Shakespeare wrote, and he made one of his characters say, there's a method to the madness. Right? It could have been Beowulf or something like that. And the method to the madness is that if he went to Cleveland that year, even if they didn't win a championship, Cleveland that year would have either went to the Eastern Conference Championship, and granted, I'm not taking foresight. They did want him. He would have went there.
I was
He
here.
didn't want to go there.
I was here. They didn't want him.
No, he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to go there. So, and I know we said foresight. They went as far as they went, but at minimum, we think beginning of the year, you're gonna go at minimum Eastern Conference Championship, at best championship, right?
Of course, because who the hell else was in the East, and plus LeBron was still over there.
Which I thought would have been perfect for Carmelo Anthony because you would have seen him in an Eastern Conference Championship game or an NBA Championship game.
Right.
And then that would have been our lasting memory of him. The year that LeBron leaves and he's the head of that team, and when that team sucked that year, he would have gotten a pass. He would have gotten a complete pass. Nobody would have blamed him. They would have been like, oh, Kyrie's gone. Oh, LeBron's gone. What do you expect Melo to just do with Kevin Love? This is like, you know what I mean? They would have compared it to him. Just have like Jason. They would like, oh, it's like having J.R. Smith and no better than having Stoudemire, except for you're in Cleveland and you don't even have a big. Yeah, you understand? They would have given him a pass for that year, and then he would have been able to leave and go rejoin LeBron in L.A. But as we know, Carmelo Anthony always makes the wrong turns. He has been a habitual wrong turner. Like if
he should have left the Knicks a long time ago to go play for Chicago.
If turning was a hobby, he would have been Zoolander. Like like all he does is turn left. So that was always my theory about Melo, is that that should have been the first movie for me because he would have got that pass. But now he's out the league, and again, we see him go to Oklahoma City eventually. And I was like, why go to Oklahoma City? Why not try to find your way on a better contender? Because I thought Oklahoma City, they had a weird plateau of all the talent.
Should have went to the Warriors, to be honest.
So here we go again. He's with Portland, and obviously he's exactly what Portland needs, right?
Right.
And Portland needs a lot more than Melo, but he's exactly what they needed at the time.
lot
He helped them win 3 games in a row, and 3 games, not only 3 games, but they finally put off 3 games in a row, which helped get them the Player of the Week award. It helped get them back in. They're no longer the worst team or the next worst team, but they're still now trying to climb their way back into becoming one of the bottom teams in the West. Which, regardless, they're gonna get beat in the first round if they're anywhere those bottom teams.
Of course.
Like their best bet is to possibly face Houston.
And even that is still like.
But that you can overcome with just Damian Lillard and I'm forgetting his name.
CJ McCollum.
There we go. And CJ McCullough. Carmelo Anthony there will be the extra caveat. Like so you can get Houston in the first round and get past them. Anybody else, you're like you don't want them against any of the LA teams.
No. Avoid that at all costs.
Maybe a Denver team because he'll feel he'll also feel real rejuvenated to be in Denver as well. Maybe Utah. So you say like things become weird.
Definitely Utah. Definitely.
Things become weird, but Melo definitely did drop enough points to become the Player of the Week for last week. Now they did run into the Clippers last night, and the Clippers did to them what we expect the Clippers to do. Like, listen, I said this.
Kawhi didn't even play well.
Does he need to? The good thing of having that many guys on your team is that when Kawhi doesn't play well, Paul George is there,
Montrezl Harrell,
Lou Williams, and we all know
Sweet Lou
Williams is gonna get his buckets. Like, listen, if nobody else will, Lou will. Listen, if nobody else will get buckets, Lou will. You can always count on Lou.
Always count on Lou for a nice bucket or 2.
So they ran into the LA Clippers, and I said this from the beginning. It doesn't matter how often I salivate over any team throughout this year because I'm a basketball fan. I'm gonna salivate over Portland for a week. I'm gonna salivate over Houston for a month.
Yes,
I'm gonna salivate over Brooklyn for 6 games without Kyrie. I just want to let that sit there and simmer. Like, so there's a lot of things I'm gonna salivate on, and that's only because I knew the Clippers weren't gonna be the visual team to salivate on. But I picked them from the very beginning to win an NBA championship. Now listen, do the Lakers still make me nervous? Yes.
Absolutely.
They
freak me out.
have a size to them that I keep talking about that is ridiculous.
That shooting is gonna be their downfall.
But
that shooting will be their downfall.
That size that they have bothers me because we're talking about they really have what the evolution of the NBA truly is going to is a bunch of 6'9" people and above that can handle the ball. Pick and roll and all pass. Not all pick and roll and all pass, but bunch of 6'9" people, but they have a bunch of those. Him, Anthony Davis, even the young boy with the K, forgetting his name.
Kuzma.
Yeah. Young Kuz. You know what I mean?
He needs to step up. He's not playing as well as he needs to be playing. He needs to step up.
And we already know, I'm forgetting everybody's name today. The point guard from Boston, Rajon Rondo. Like he's not small. Like compared to today's point guards, he's pretty big. Like you know what I mean? So they're not a small team, and they still also have I think Avery Bradley's now out injured. I'm about to say they have Avery Bradley.
He is there, but
he's there. But I think he's out injured again.
Yes.
And on the bench, slowly recovering, that can still make a comeback by the end of the season.
No, he's not coming back.
You sure?
Positive. He's
You
not
sure?
coming back.
The season?
He's not coming back.
Why not?
Because he hurt that thing in the off season.
Boogie could come back this year.
Nah, not at all. I don't like it.
You don't
I
like
don't
it. He
like
just
it.
wants to participate so he can qualify for that ring. So he can feel like he did something to get that ring. Which they ain't gonna get this year. But he wants to feel like that. He's gonna try. He's gonna try. He's gonna try. What's gonna suck is if he tries and he gets injured again. That's what's gonna suck. Because then nobody's gonna give him a chance. That's gonna be 3 straight years of injuries. Because he knows it won't be a light injury either. It's gonna be another devastating one. It's gonna be like, like he tore like a molar.
Man, him and what's his name?
Little shorty from Washington.
Yeah, they missed out on the bag big time due to injuries.
Isaiah Thomas.
They missed out on the bag, man. Oh, I felt so bad for both of them. They both missed out on the bag because of injuries.
Got a
Way
late.
in life, shit doesn't go your way sometimes, but especially Isaiah Thomas, his was the one that works. He was a bona fide MVP candidate when he got hurt.
So, the Lakers, at one point in time in the season, were 8-3. Since they were 8-3, they managed to go 18-3. Or the record improved to 18-3. They won 10 straight games.
And then Luka came in and kicked that ass.
Thank you. Luka. Oh yeah, we got some reggae tunes in here too. So Luka came in and said,
Yeah, drop
"You
some
may
Jay-Z
not
shit,
be
bro.
a movie star, right? Or it doesn't matter what kind of superstar you are, Luke. What have I been saying for a while now? Luka Doncic needs to be not an honorably mentioned. Not, here's LeBron James putting up not a triple-double. Here goes James Harden putting up not a triple-double. Just doing nice work. Nice work again. And then you have Luka Doncic in his second year. In his second
30,
year.
10, 10.
I don't even know Luka's number, but I feel like it should be 101 because he's taking these niggas to school.
30, 10, and 10. That's all you need to know for a month. 30, 10, and 10. Now, granted, we have somebody who did that.
For 3 straight seasons now.
Yes.
But
for Luka to do it at 20?
for anybody, not Luka to do it at 20. I don't care if you came into the NBA at 35. For anybody to do that into the NBA in their second season into the NBA, especially when you're still under the legal drinking age in the United States of America, which I think is bullshit. Because once you go, someone tell you something about the legal age in America, drinking age in America. When you join the military, it's still the same thing, unless you go to a few places. There's a few places in the United States. One of them is Fort Sam Eustis in Texas. And that's because that duty station is so close to the Mexican border that they had to change the age limit to be able to drink on that duty station because too many soldiers were hopping country lines, going to Mexico, getting fucked up, and then drinking legally, and then coming back to America. And then coming back on base, like, yo, how are you drunk? I went to Mexico. Like, oh. Well, you drank over there legally, or you drunk? Not like, I didn't get drunk in America. Wasn't drinking on American soil. You can't charge me.
There you go.
So they was like, okay, if you're stationed at Fort Sam Eustis, the drinking age for you is 18. Also, if you're lucky enough to go to Germany before the age of 21, the legal drinking age over there, because the legal drinking age in Germany is like 16 years old, the legal drinking age for every soldier over there is 18 as well.
Lit.
Listen, it was a beautiful thing to have my first, be 18 and 19 in America, at my first duty station, and then be 19 and 20 in Germany, and see the difference. And then by the time I came back to America, I was of legal drinking age. I was like, okay, I don't gotta worry about none of this bullshit anymore.
None of this crap.
Like, I've been drinking my whole life now, like my whole adult life, because nothing stops you from drinking at 18 in the military. It's just that You just can't go buy the liquor that you're drinking, but it still makes it back to the barracks that you're in. Listen, you understand, there's days, because there's also a day like where the club on base is popping, and the person in charge of your unit knows this. On that day, the next day after that, is usually the day that he decides to have like an 8-mile run. And from the front to the back of the formation, all you smell is liquor just pouring out of your pores. Literally just like niggas is literally dripping Hennessy.
Oh shit.
Like niggas is literally dripping champagnes of Andre. Like what?
Oh my god.
So Luka went and had himself a nice little young party. And and show like, listen, LeBron, you may have AD, you may be the king, but I think you may be looking at the new fresh. And I said this already. I already put my flag down on this. I see Dallas winning the championship in 3 years. It's gonna be tough because
So much
Porzingis
competition.
isn't elevating the way I think he should be. But
That's that just coming back from the knee thing and stuff.
That is
like that.
true,
So
too.
he needs some time to get right.
I 100% do not disagree with that. And the other part of it, I didn't think he looked bad.
I don't think he looks bad either.
No, not even bad
It's
now,
just
but
the
even
thing-
bad against Anthony Davis. Which I'm gonna tell you something.
My thing is, Luka's controlling everything right
He
now.
does.
So it's like
And he makes the game easy
it's
for him.
different. It's different for Porzingis right now because obviously in New York everything was running through him. Everything was running through him. But now shit's flipped. You're not the best player on the team right now. That's Luka.
Which is good. I think it's good for him.
Who happens to also be the primary ball handler. So you're not gonna see this Porzingis. I mean, you still can. On top of that, I feel like his numbers are low because he's just trying to get comfortable to being on the court again. Because I'm pretty sure there's mental things going on every time he jumps up to do a rebound, go for a dunk.
His hair looks nice though.
Hmm?
His hair looks nice though.
True. Very, very true. Very, very
And not
true.
for nothing, I'm gonna tell you something, and people keep thinking I'm crazy for this. When I look at Kristaps Porzingis, I see Anthony Davis still.
No.
That's okay.
No.
I see Anthony Davis.
No.
The injury proneness, like the way they're able to score, their game, their ability. Oh no, I see Anthony Davis, and it's also me telling you, I don't think Anthony Davis. I mean, Anthony Davis, I think is nice.
That's
I think.
that's a disrespect to Anthony Davis.
Listen, I think he could do better, and I think because he could do better, when you actually look at look at their years. I know what you say. Look at their years. Look at
That's
their
a top
injuries.
5 player in the NBA, even with all the injuries.
He's always considered a top 5 player in the NBA.
He is a
I-
top 5 player in the NBA now.
Once again, better PR. Which I know you're saying, how can you get better PR than being in New York? Just better PR. It's like my Anthony Zion shit. Like, is Kenneth Faried with better PR?
I can't think. Anthony
Is Anthony
playing-
Zion?
Anthony's playing with New
Is Zion
Orleans,
Williamson
man.
even playing yet?
Nope.
We're 20 games into the season.
Who cares? Let's talk about something else. Besides, the Pelicans are irrelevant right now. Let's talk about something else.
Well, Lakers are number 1 in the West. The Clippers are number 2. Denver's number 3. And Dallas is number 4. Boston has fallen to number 4 in the East.
But,
Toronto's number 3.
We're falling. That it's a stretch.
But they were number 1.
Because everybody's within like a game
Yeah.
in the East.
So Toronto's number 1.
Right.
I mean, number 3, I should say. Miami's number 2.
Mm.
And then
Last time I checked, they're getting dragged by Boston right now.
Milwaukee's number 1.
Yes. Because Greek Freak is reminding y'all that I'm still the MVP.
Greek Freak going for the double-double of MVP awards.
And
He's going for the double.
And I can't even cap. If you were to get it, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not. There are some there are some players who are really doing their thing this year to make this MVP talk thing very difficult. LeBron's doing his thing. Luka obviously doing his thing. Harden's doing his thing.
And I think that's where the top
Greek
two needs to
Freak
stop.
doing his thing.
Well, no, sorry. Not the top two needs to stop. The top three needs to include Luka, LeBron, and Giannis. And then
Harden got it.
it needs to be Westbrook then Harden.
Not Westbrook.
It needs
It's
to be,
Harden.
He's averaging a triple-double. It needs to be Westbrook then Harden.
Nah, I can't do.
Stop
I
disrespecting him.
I can't.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I
History.
can't.
He's historic.
I feel it on the historic tip, but the thing that these other dudes are doing, it's like
Well, that's the reason why he's fourth.
we're not fourth. Harden is fourth.
No, but he's
Westbrook is fifth.
But he's doing something more historic than Harden.
All I
And
know,
their team has the same record.
all I know is
Come on, they playing the same team.
that's what he's saying. All I know is the talk right now is Harden,
That's because they
Luka,
stopped talking about Westbrook's triple doubles,
which they shouldn't. But if you
that's
go
disrespectful.
Off, but if you go off what's going on right now,
Okay,
nobody
I'm not
is
asking you to
nobody,
go off of them.
Nobody
I'm
is
asking you to go off of you.
I'm not paying attention to Westbrook's triple doubles right now, to be real. Because for one, it'd be nice to see this man shoot 11 for 20 instead of fucking 6 for 20.
He's getting
This
better.
shit is trash.
But that's him
This
and Harden though.
This shit is trash.
That's him and Harden both. Him and Harden both
But
shoot
I've
4
seen-
for 20 in a
I've-
game.
I've seen Harden just the other day go what was it, 8-20 for something to get his 60 points. A very efficient night. It seems like every time I check the stats, I see Westbrook 6 for 20, 6 for 23.
I think you're giving
4 for 17.
I think you're
Like
giving
this-
Russell Westbrook a bad rap.
I'm not. He's the one out here shooting the damn ball. Make your shots.
I think you're giving
shots.
Russell
Shit.
Westbrook a bad rap.
Harden needs to make his too, but at least he's had a little bit better track record of doing his than freaking Westbrook has. Shit's annoying, and I hate to even talk about Westbrook like this.
So
And look at that, 7 for 30. What the fuck is that?
But 11 for 38.
What the fuck is that too?
But
Trust
what's
me, they were
exactly
both
so? That's what I'm telling you. This
But
is
that's-
how that's
that's
them.
one
That's
game.
them combined though.
and that's
But you see the difference
that's
though.
one game.
Okay,
pull
no,
up,
no, no,
pull
no,
up
no,
Harden,
no.
pull
Wait,
up Harden stats
wait,
where he
wait.
went for 60.
Wait,
Pull
no,
up
no.
Harden stats where he went for
I'm
60.
gonna put the next
right
5
now.
games, but we're gonna pause here for a second because this is a perfect
No,
example.
Pull
no,
up
no, no. We're
Harden
gonna pause
stats
here.
that show me his 60 points.
We will.
You don't want to pull it
No, no.
because you know it's valid.
No, I'm gonna pull up his last 5 games because we're gonna get an average. We're gonna get ourselves an average of this, right? Because, but this is a perfect example of how their games are. Look, you get Russell Westbrook, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, triple double, right? But he only puts up 19 points and 7 shots, seven made shots on 30 attempts.
30 to give
That's
you 19
horrible.
points.
Now listen to this. On 4 more shots made, right? So I told you, Russell Westbrook had 19 points on 4 more shots made, but on 8 more shots attempted, Russell Westbrook ended up getting 50 points out of it. That's the difference. That's what you're talking about here. That's what you see. You see James Harden's 50 points, and
Because
that
of
sticks
all
out.
those all those free throw attempts.
That
my
sticks
man's
out to
is
you
getting.
more than Russell Westbrook's triple-double, but they both shoot horribly. We're talking
It's all
about...
right. See, you talk all that stuff right there.
No.
Because you still haven't brought up James Harden's
I
stats
will go back
from
to-
the 60 points.
Because you just want to go to that 60-point game. I just told you, we're going to go back to the last 5 games. This game was a great indication of how they are on an average. That 60 game is an outlier. So listen, 23% shooting for Russell Westbrook. 28% shooting for James Harden. That's kind of what they
I mean,
do.
either way, if we gotta be
they're
real,
both bad.
If we gotta be real, both of them need to shoot the ball better.
Exactly.
This shit is disgusting.
I'm just so when you tell
This
me
shit is disgusting.
So when you tell me that James Harden is above Russell Westbrook,
He is.
for MVP.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you that I value Russell Westbrook's triple double a whole lot better and with his bad shooting than I do James Harden's 50 points with his bad shooting. Cause you know what? Solely, they both led you to fail in your. I'm sorry. I have somebody else that can say this better for me.
You have failed this city.
Because that was made for James Harden. But okay, we'll go back. But you know, and we will go back. But I do want.
Harden is the one in the MVP talk. Westbrook is on the outside
But
looking in.
I I understand of how they look at it. We're not talking about them. We're talking about us. We're talking about us in this room. We're talking about the MyT universe. We care about Fox. We don't care about ESPN. We don't care about Yahoo Sports. We don't care about NBA.com. We don't care about Bleacher. We don't care about Bazing. We don't care about none of them niggas. Understand? We're talking about here with our eyeballs, with
But at
our
the end
test.
of the day, they're the ones with the vote. We don't.
And listen, and when they pick up a top 4 and we look at, we go like, yo, you're wrong for making Russell Westbrook not number 4 over James Harden, because I'm sorry, what he does to me is holds a little bit more weight, especially historic wise. But they keep slipping on his triple doubles, and it holds and win wise is no different in weight than James Harden's win wise. But let's go here. You said you keep wanting to go back, and I didn't want to quite go back yet, because I said we're gonna go back to the last 5 games, because I did want to ask you first. Did you see the game against San Antonio last night?
Of course I did.
That's the reason why I didn't want to quite go back yet, because I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about that game. Right?
And it's not this highway robbery that people were talking about.
No, I ain't gonna talk about the highway robbery. I want to talk about, because it was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game that I was watching, and I came in somewhere around halfway, probably a little less than halfway through the 4th quarter, right? Is when I finally came around. Right? I got home, started watching the game. And it's going back and forth for a while. Houston is up. Houston is up big time, right? Mm-hmm. And at some point,
Brick City.
At some point, the game is, I want to say maybe 115 to 107. I want to say it was a 7-point difference.
Something like that.
I don't know what the 7-point difference was, but it was a 7-point difference. Houston was up with like 2 minutes left. Mm-hmm. Russell Westbrook has the ball. I don't know who he beats off the dribble, but he beats his man off the dribble. And he gets to the lane. And next thing you know, his shot is sent to the 3rd row. This guy, Patella, comes from the weak side and sends his shit flying. Next thing you know, next possession, nothing. San Antonio gets the ball back, right? They score on the other end. A couple of 3-pointers, a couple of plays are made. I know Houston turns the ball over, and James Harden is looking for a foul. Some dude with some rough-looking dreads makes a 3-pointer. Some light-skinned motherfucker with a new mean mug makes
like
a big 3-pointer.
Like he's trying to top Alfred Payton's hairstyle.
Oh my God, that shit was so Alfred Payton-ish. I wasn't even funny.
Oh my gosh.
So they go back and forth. So the light-skinned dude makes a 3-pointer. The dude with the funky dreads makes a 3-pointer. Then the game is tied all of a sudden. They don't score another. They haven't scored another point. San Antonio goes on a 7-0 run. They don't score another point. Mm-hmm. Then James Harden has the ball in his hand, and what James Harden does, he does his little setup. But James Harden's been struggling all night, right? So instead of doing his normal step back, like he does, to shoot another brick, because he was having a bad shooting night that night, and we're going to talk about his 60-point night, because like I said, they both roller coaster together. Listen, they are birds of a feather. Those motherfuckers are birds of a feather. But
we don't even really need to go in depth. They both just really need to start consistently shooting the ball better. This shit is bad.
But they did go on a nice little winning streak lately to help their team record to be able to push themselves back into the top 4. Top 4? Did they make the top 4? Did I mention them in the top 4? I did not. Sorry. They're not in the top 4. So James Harden does his move. But instead of doing a step back so he could brick for another one, he goes to the lane. Wide open shot. Right? We're talking the last possession of the game.
Right.
He starts attacking with 10 seconds left in the game. Probably less. Gets to the rim. Lays it up. And his shot is hit to the 3rd row. Another clutch block by Patella. 2 seconds left in the game now. And I believe this is the play that happens next. I could be misplacing it in time. But they inbound the ball. James Harden goes to take a shot. And next thing you know, they said James Harden committed an offensive foul by elbowing the dude in the chucks.
Like I said, they don't want Harden to be great, man. But it's okay.
Listen, James Harden stops himself from being great.
Oh, he does.
Since he's been in Oklahoma City, coming off the bench, playing against Miami, coming up, looking like Speedy Gonzalez in the fourth quarter. What do you mean, Speedy Gonzalez? I'm sorry, I should call him Ant-Man for how short he comes up.
These are not lies. These are not lies.
But that sends that game into overtime. For the first overtime. That game goes back and forth for a little bit. There's a little bit more controversy. There's some more crying. There's some more whining. But there's some big plays that happen, a little bit more back and forth. Next thing you know, we go into a second overtime. And that game went into second double overtime and still down to basically the last shot. That was a hell of a game to witness. For Houston to blow a game against a struggle in San Antonio. I'm going to be keeping an eye on San Antonio for the next 2 weeks. Because I want to see if this is the kind of game that gets Funky Dread, new light-skinned wonder, and Greg Popovich and them boys on the right track. DeMar DeRozan, still DeMar DeRozan. Well, he came up with some big plays, fell on his ass, but came up with made his free throws when he needed to.
Did fall on his ass. I thought that man was done.
Oh no, I thought he was done after he shot those free throws, because you know he was gonna have to shoot those free throws, because if you don't shoot those free throws, then the other team could pick whoever they want. They could pick your worst player, even if he's on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we're gonna continue to talk about Houston, we're gonna talk about. You wanted to talk about him.
I really don't anymore, honestly.
James Harden did put up a 60-point game. He was very efficient, 16 for 24, 66% shooting.
The thing is, like, I just,
but in the same roller coaster,
I just really don't care about talking about them anymore, because the bottom line is, we know how their story goes. It's gonna be the same shit. It's gonna be James Harden's 50-point games. It's gonna ooh and and then
versus
come to the playoffs. It's time to go home once again, and it's because it just is what it is, man. Like I'm over them. I mean, it would really maybe their chances would be better if both of them would shoot the ball better from the field. I cannot come in and check the stats night after night and just see this garbage shooting percentage from the field from both of them.
They both have a horrible roller coaster.
Garbage.
The game that he had 60 points, he shot well. He shot 66%. Russell Westbrook shot 52%. The game before that, they played Miami. James Harden takes 22 shots. Russell Westbrook takes 21 shots. James Harden makes 9. Russell Westbrook makes 11. That's the difference between 40% and 52%. To be honest with you. That's the difference between looking like, okay, you had a good shooting night versus you had a shitty shooting night. What's that? 2 more shots made, 1 less shot taken.
Man, you see numbers like that, and it makes you miss. It makes you miss the KDs. It makes you miss the Steph Currys and the Klay Thompsons. Because it's just like, oh, God.
It makes you.
You don't see shit like that from them.
It makes you miss them, but it also makes you see
efficient basketball
of
man.
Why if you're not a truly a 3-point shooter like that, or if your team isn't really, because in that game where James Harden is 9 for 22, he goes 7 for 17 from 3-point line. So basically, he only took 5 shots that were.
I wonder what Steph Curry's 3-point numbers would look like if he was shooting 17, 18, 23s a game.
Oh no, he's like around 40-50%. We know this.
Oh no, we know. I would just.
Like, you mean his points? His point total.
Those
his points
20s,
total.
Those 4 for 20s, you wouldn't see that.
Put it this way:
you'd see like 10 for 20, or something like that, man.
If Steph Curry shot 17 3-pointers a night, 23 pointers a night,
that
he
type
would
of green light.
He
would already pass. He would already pass.
He
Reggie
would bona fide average 40 points a night. He wouldn't teeter with it. He wouldn't flirt with it. He would bona fide at. I would go out a limb to say that he would average 42.3 points a night.
Look,
like it'll be that.
If it was like that, within the next year and a half, he would pass Reggie for number 1 all time, or Ray Allen number 1 all
exactly.
time.
He would have passed him in his 3rd year. Everybody. So, I get it. Houston has work to do, but they're exciting to watch. I just think that Russell Westbrook is a little bit more deserving of the MVP. I put it this way, I understand what I said. I think he's disrespected by having James Harden spoken about the MVP talk over him. And I've said that even when they were on different teams.
Oh yeah, when they were on different teams.
But that's what happened when they was on
Westbrook-
different teams. This is how it looked when they were on different teams. That was Russell Westbrook's stat line for a night. That was James Harden's stat line for a night. They just did it on different teams. They're just now doing it on the same team. Nothing has changed. Oklahoma City, with what Russell Westbrook did, Oklahoma City manages to be a 7-8 team. With what
I'm
James
telling
Harden
you right
does,
now, I
he
would
happens to make his
consider-
team a 3 to 5 seed team.
I would consider Pascal Siakam an MVP candidate before I consider Russell Westbrook.
Is he averaging a triple double?
He's not having a triple double, but the impact that he's having on that team right there, for them to be 15-5, I
Maybe.
would definitely consider Pascal Siakam before
I
I consider
may-
Russell Westbrook an MVP
Okay,
candidate.
I'll even give you that. My number one thing, I don't like to hear James Harden's name being mentioned in MVP talk above Russell Westbrook when Russell Westbrook is putting up a triple double. Because you know what?
Well,
The
you,
year
well, you better get ready to hit
because once again, the year that Russell Westbrook won MVP.
I mean, right now it's not like Harden's the leading MVP candidate.
No, I'm not saying he's
He's
not.
not.
But
I'm saying
over the
he's
last
higher
couple, over the
than Westbrook is,
and he has
that's
been
a
over the
fact.
last couple years. And I'm saying is that if winning a triple double, if having a triple double won you the MVP, right? James Harden hasn't won an MVP yet, right?
He has.
Has he?
Mm-hmm.
Did he win? No, he hasn't.
Yeah, he has. He got one finally.
When?
You don't remember when he came up on that stage with that ugly ass 1970s ass coat?
I don't remember.
Thank you so much.
I may have not watched that
Talking
year
like
purposely.
he's Shaq or whatever. with
I may have
the
not watched
Emmy
that year
Awards.
purposely. But Russell Westbrook won an MVP. The year that he won an MVP, he had a triple double. The year that James Harden didn't win that MVP and came in second to him was because he was putting up similar numbers to what he has done over the last 3 years. He has been this consistent guy. So if you have consistently done the same thing that couldn't win you an MVP versus the guy that has been consistently doing the thing that won him the MVP, how do you ever get mentioned above him?
But see, this is where you're not being right.
What?
No, you're not. No, you're not. Because is Westbrook's MVP, is Westbrook numbers right now really comparable to his MVP season? Is Westbrook's impact as strong as those MVP seasons? If you say yes, I'm throwing this cup in your face.
See.
You're bullshitting. You said that just to piss me off.
I said it in a different language for also purposely too. Listen.
It is not the same. It is not the same.
This year.
It doesn't even strike.
You said this year.
This
right?
year.
Okay,
I'm talking
you
about
said this year. You said this year.
This year.
And if you want me to answer that honestly,
it does
no,
not strike
it's not the
as
same.
other years.
It is not the same this year, and that is because he is taking a lesser role.
Exactly. So how the hell can he even win MVP if he's taking on a lesser role?
He still.
How can he even be?
While
How
taking
can he even be a higher candidate than Harden?
So
when
that's what I'm
he's taking
saying.
the
While taking on a
role?
lesser role, he is still averaging a triple double. Still a 20, 10, and 10 triple double. And James Harden is still doing what James Harden just did. Is put up a lot of points. And
60 in
Okay.
3 quarters.
okay.
Russ, go give me that before you want to be a higher candidate.
But he
than
has
James
though.
Harden.
He realized he's
Not
better
this
deferring.
year. Not this year.
Because this year he's not the
I don't
primary.
care.
He's not the
If
primary scorer for this year.
Russ still that dude. He can still go out there. You know how he could do that if he would make his fucking shots
He
instead
averages the triple
of going
doubles.
6 for 20.
He
Like
averages the
damn.
But once again,
Make your
when
shots.
he's going 6 for 20, James Harden is going 7 for 28.
I've clearly already
And
said
getting
both
50.
of them. I've already said both.
So,
of them.
I'm just saying-
but 7 for 28. But he still gets how many?
But he gets 50 and 40.
Because
out of
he
it.
gets to the line like 20 something times.
He's in a different. Russell Westbrook is playing a different role and still managing to still average a triple double. That is being overlooked. Versus James Harden having another guy on the floor to give him way more space than he's ever had, and still
How's Russell Westbrook giving him more space?
He's giving him more space than
when he's shooting 27% from 3-point
because
line.
you give him more space than you give.
Let me tell you
than,
something.
than you give Chris Paul.
I'm playing defense. I want Russell to stand right at that 3-point line to shoot that three.
I'm
You
saying-
are doing me a favor when you stand out there and shoot that 3-point shot. I'm like, I want to shake your hand. I'm like, oh, yes sir, thank you.
You giving him more room than you gave
Thank
Chris
you.
Paul. I mean, less room than you give Chris Paul.
Give who?
That's a Westbrook.
If Chris Paul standing out there shooting that three, I'm like, I need to get out there. If Russell Westbrook shooting that three, I'm like, oh, my good friend, please feel free to shoot that shit. I'd much rather you shoot that shit right there than you blow right past me and go hammer it on my big man down low. Please. Whenever you feel like shooting that 3-point shot, take it. Take it every time, son. Because when you attacking that paint, that's when you killing me. But I'm sorry. Trust me, I do not like to sound like I'm coming at Westbrook because Westbrook is one of my favorite players to watch. But you're not gonna sit here and tell me that man deserves to be higher in the MVP candidate talk, higher than James Harden. Hell no, absolutely not. No sir. No.
Okay.
This may be the thought of it disgusts me.
This may be the one year, based off what you're saying, that they may be whatever position that they're in, whether it's 4, 5, or 6, that they're 4A and 4B. They are equals on their spot. They are. I'm sorry, they are. Russell Westbrook is deferring and still getting his numbers.
You really on your own island with that one.
I've been on my own island for 3 years trying to defend Russell Westbrook.
In the previous 3 years, you shouldn't have to be on your own island. I'd have been right there on you with that. But this year, nah, you on.
He
You
is
on that one by
deferring
yourself.
and still putting up his numbers. He's
sir,
taking
are
a
on
secondary
that one
role and still managing
by
a triple-double.
yourself.
He's taking a secondary role and still putting up 20, 10, and 10.
Niggas will jack Kawhi as a higher MVP candidate. I won't. But niggas will jack Kawhi as a higher MVP candidate before Russell Westbrook.
Listen, I'll even take that too. But he's also above James Harden.
Hell no. Hell no. Hell no.
Because-
Absolutely not.
Because Russell Westbrook is also above James Harden.
Oh God. Next topic. Next week, because we just gonna have to agree to disagree on this shit. Because we'll spend the rest of the podcast going back and forth over this, and we got other things to talk about.
Well,
We gonna have to agree to disagree.
we're gonna agree to disagree. We're gonna take a quick break then, and then we're
Lord
gonna
have
switch
mercy.
topics because Russell Westbrook deserves to be
No.
higher in the MVP voting than James Harden, regardless if they're in the
no.
4th spot, the 5 spot, the 6th
No,
spot.
sir.
What did James,
Cut his
what,
mic.
What does
Cut
LeBron
his
James
mic.
say? Not 1,
Cut
not
his
2,
mic.
not 3,
Cut
not
his
4,
mic.
not.
Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting has helped place thousands of people just like you in radio, television, and new media careers. You'll learn it all in a hands-on environment in a matter of months, not years. To take a tour of a campus in your area or to find out if a career in broadcasting is right for you, call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com.
And we are back to the MyT Plus. You know what? No, we're not.
For CSB News 9, I'm Denata.
I'm Tito Wiltsey. Good night.
Clear.
Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting has helped place thousands of people just like you in radio, television, and new media careers. You'll learn it all in a hands-on environment in a matter of months, not years. To take a tour of a campus in your area or to find out if a career in broadcasting is right for you, call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com.
Now we are back to the Mighty Sports Podcast. I'm still your host and one and only talented Omar Taylor. If you are still listening to the podcast, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. That was a good first hour of the podcast. We're gonna make this quick. We're gonna make it fast, but we're gonna make it last. Let me see if I got a text. I was trying to see if I can get me some Cuddy. Let's see if that text. Listen, my co-host. Listen, you know, as we do the podcast, we like to sip a little, and sometimes that liquor can run through you. My podcast, my co-host has to take a little run through you break. But I do appreciate everybody that's listening to the podcast, regardless of It's in the fridge in the garage. So, I do appreciate you guys always listening to the podcast, wherever you're listening, especially if you're listening to it live. If you're listening to it live, that's always the best way to listen to it. There's only one way to listen to the podcast live, and that's directly on mytsports.net. I do have another live platform, but that's not for today or to talk about now. Now, if you're listening to the re-air, there are multiple ways to listen to the re-air of the podcast. You can still listen directly on the website, mytsports.net, but you can also go to Spotify. You can go to TuneIn Radio. You can go to Castbox. You can go to Google Play. You can go to iTunes. You can go to Mixlr. Oh, Mixlr. You can listen to live on Mixlr too. Mixlr is the originator of all this. You can go to Podbean. You can't go to YouTube. Like, me and YouTube are beefing right now. I'm just letting you know this right now. Me and YouTube, we got a beef that's going on right now. Apparently, they don't like all the background stuff that I like to play, and I like the background stuff that I like to play. I don't know if you like it, but I like that. Like, things just move better with a little underbed. But apparently, they don't like what I use for my underbed. So me and YouTube are beefing. Me and Facebook, we go back and forth every once in a while. We're like that arguing couple. Like, we fight every once in a while. Like, every once in a while, like there may be a black eye or two. You know what I mean? Like, it may be like a busted lip. But, you know, we always come back to each other because, you know, like, we love each other. But let's not digress too far. Because, listen, I don't care what my co-host is saying. Russell Westbrook needs to always be in a higher candidate talk of MVP. If he's putting up a triple-double, that is. Especially if he's put up a 20, 10, and 10. If he's averaging that for the season, he needs to be in higher talk than whatever Russell Westbrook is doing. I mean, whatever James Harden is doing. Because he was able to beat him the year that he won his MVP. He's able to beat him every single year when he averages a triple-double. Because James Harden doesn't really do much more else. And like I said, especially since this year. Like, this year, they have the same record. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, praise him for that? Right now, I got the Brooklyn-Atlanta game going on in the background. They got a review going on, which, can I tell you my biggest beef with reviews? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When it comes to reviews, whether it's in the NBA or in the NFL, right, they both need to take a page out of the suggestion. And I also think it will build a hype around the replay. It will build some suspense around the replay. And I also think you'll be able to get a sponsor for the replay. But make the replay a shot clock or a play clock. So for the NBA, make it 24 seconds. For the NFL, make it 40 seconds, or 35 seconds, whichever one. And go on the review. And what happens when you time it, you also build in an out for the referees. And it's an out that I already know that every single person will accept. And what that out will say is that, hey, if whatever we're trying to review, if we don't see undisputable evidence to overturn it within that shot clock, then the call is gonna stand. So basically, now the referees don't even have to, half the time, if they feel like, hey, that we made this right, and we just want to stand by our thing, like this going to review is bullshit, and even if they want to go in there with a fucking hissy fit, they'll still be able to say like, oh, we did not see enough evidence within the time allotted to overturn the play. And everybody will accept that. We did not find enough evidence within the time allotted to overturn the play. The call stands. I need my co-host here. Where the fuck is he at? So that needs to be the number one thing that they focus on. I feel like they need to shift towards to. Then, now what you do, you add a sponsor on there. Make this, oh god, the first thing that pops in mind, I don't know. Like the Pennzoil, the Pennzoil review of the game. You know what I mean? Or the Pennzoil review. And now you get a sponsor for it. And now you could play some kind of weird music if you want to. During that time, during the 24-second time frame or the 35-second time frame. And that's all they have. And now the whole entire crowd gets to see. The people at home get to see. Like, okay, they have a time frame now. And I guarantee you, as the time frame starts to count down, you know what's gonna start happening in the crowd? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you add an extra ability of interaction with the sound man now, as well. You finally want to avoid for crowd interaction, so you get crowd interaction, live and at home. You get a sponsor for it. You give the referees an out, so they basically have a CYA built into what you want, and it shortens the average time for reviews that which currently stands now, and it not only does it allow for the review to take place, but it also allows for play to pick up pretty soon, because basically all you've wasted is one play clock. Instead of, oh, we're gonna stop the play, and now we're gonna take a timeout, and now we're gonna go to commercial. We're gonna have 3 commercials that run, and during these 3 commercials, we still come back and nothing has still happened, and we've still paused the game. And now get a quick sponsor for it. As a play was in review, I'm over here talking about my review shit again. Cause I'm talking about, not only do I have a beef about it, I feel like both sports, they're missing out on a money opportunity. Let me ask you this. So, play goes under review, right? NBA or NFL. Which sport you want me to correlate it to?
Bro, they both can get dragged when it
I
comes
know,
to replay.
but you let me know which one you want me using this example.
Let's go NBA because they have the most recent fuck up.
Okay. So now, NBA comes. Play goes under review.
Right.
If the referees had 24 seconds to review this play clock, right? Let me ask you this. If you're in the crowd, if you're at home, when that play stock starts getting to...
Oh, I need about 1-2 times to see it.
No, not even that. When that play clock starts to get to 10 or to 5, what do most people start naturally doing? Counting down with them, don't they?
Down. Yep.
The crowd is going to count down. You may even count down. It adds... You know what it starts to do? If you give them a clock, it makes the review an event in its own little thing.
Yes.
Because now you start to count down with them. Now, let me ask you this. Play happens. You say you need 1 or 2 plays. Great.
1 or 2 times to see it.
But let me ask you this. If the referees come back and said, with the time allotted, we did not see enough evidence to overturn the play. How do you feel? How do you feel?
How do I feel? I'm like, hey.
And we move on, right?
Move on. If you could,
Because remember,
if it was a conclusive within the time frame, then so be it. Inconclusive evidence.
See, so now
I don't need you to have 2 minutes to come. Not even 2. Sometimes 5 minutes. Fucking long ass commercial break. I can go downstairs, get me a nice plate of food and a drink. Come back. You still ain't even back yet. Onto the game to let me know what the hell is going on.
And he wasn't even here when I made my initial rant. This is why I had to invite him on the show. You guys are now starting to understand.
Like, come on, man.
So, they're missing out on a crowd interaction by making it a shot clock. They're missing out on possibly... So let me ask you this.
Motherfuckers is not even interested no more in the call after that. You take so motherfucking long.
Shit. Now let me ask you this. Would you be surprised if when it goes under review, all of a sudden you hear, we now have the Skittles review of the game.
Skittles review.
We now have the Pennzoil review of the game.
Right.
We now have the Tissot review of the game. We now have the BMW performance review of the game.
You're right. There we go.
Now you get a
like,
now you get a
sponsor
because you
right
know
there.
you're gonna review something in almost every game. Think about it. Somebody's reviewing something. Now you get to throw something.
Gonna have at least 2 or 3 of these.
Now
things.
you get some kind of sponsor to throw an extra thing in there for it.
Shoot, the way the NFL is, every score, every turnover they're reviewing.
And
so
think
it's
about
like,
it. And think if you're the sponsor that gets them all.
Money being made around here.
You may not. So
Money
you may not
being
get it
made around
every.
here.
You may not get it every game for the
Range
Brooklyn
Rover,
game.
Eagle
But
ring,
how many
diamond
games
hat,
are there
like
in a
that
night?
kind of thing.
How many games are there in a night? And if you get the sponsor for them all,
like I said, money being made around
so you don't have to worry about if you
Rover,
just have it
big
for
old
one
house,
team and that team doesn't do it for that one
diamond
night
rings, if you like
on
that
this
kind of
game, yes. You understand? For every single televised game, you get that.
Money, 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 money.
They're missing out.
Business is booming.
And then
But yet they
I
stay
told
playing.
you they make an event, right? Crowd interaction. You get an event. Now you also get a sponsor. And I also gave you the speech that the referees can give. They also have that's a built-in CYA. That's a built-in cover your ass speech with the shot
Straight
clock.
up.
So anytime they feel like I want to uphold my call because fuck it, I don't feel like it should have been reviewed anyway, they can take the full shot clock in there and come back and say, based off the evidence provided, there was not enough evidence to overturn the play.
Boom.
I did not witness enough. And then you move on.
And the thing that's even more
Because
wild,
now that you have unlimited time, you give them 10 minutes to review. But like, how did you not see if you have 10 minutes?
The thing that's even more wild is motherfuckers is back at the main headquarters. Both these headquarters are
Reviewing
in New
as
York.
well in their ear.
Both of these headquarters, NBA and NFL, are up in New York reviewing this shit to try to get it right, so the right decision is made. So it's like they're already looking at it before the refs even go look at it themselves. So it's like, what takes you so long, man? It is ridiculous. It's like this in the NBA, NFL, college football. College football, to be honest, is probably the worst one. It is probably the worst one when it comes to, out of all the three, when it comes to replay, it's probably the worst. Probably the worst.
Because I guarantee you, part of the outrage, why people are upset that it takes so long, that people are not getting it right, is because it takes them 10 minutes to review a play. If you get 10 minutes
very funny
to review a play in slow motion from every fucking possible angle, where you can even pull up Google 360 and see that shit, right? And you can't get it right in 10 minutes, then something's fucking wrong. But if you only have 24 seconds or 35 seconds to get it right, and you can't see enough, then people will get it. They wash their hands with the moment. They move on. I'm moving on to the next fucking play.
And it's very
They are
funny.
missing out.
It's funny.
I'm gonna have to do a separate video to do a rant about this to tag both of these bitches in so they can understand it, because apparently enough of these fuckers aren't listening to the podcast.
Clearly.
Share the
It's
podcast.
funny.
Go tag the NFL. Go tag the NBA. Go let these motherfuckers know I am giving them free money advice. Also, they need to hire me for their
free sauce.
They need to hire me for their marketing department ASAP.
Hey, just make sure to check. Just make sure the check clears, NFL, NBA. Just make sure the check clears. But the funny thing is, the sport that tends to get killed the most for being last to the party, Major League Baseball, they're the ones that are ahead of the curve when it comes to this replay thing. They don't play. They're pretty quick with their replays.
Because everything else is so slow for them. They're like, listen, they're always trying to find ways to speed up the game. They're like, you know what? Fuck it, we gotta make
It's
this fast.
funny. They're trying to find ways to speed this shit up, while the other ones seem like they're trying to find ways to slow this bitch down.
And in a way, they're still trying to find ways to speed up.
Which they should, because fucking baseball games could be fucking 4 hours long.
Baseball games are brutal. And listen.
That's
The only way
that's why I watch playoff baseball.
The only way
regular season shit is very rare that I'm watching a regular season baseball game. Lord have mercy.
The only way I can stay awake for a baseball game is when I'm calling it, and even then it gets rough. And the only reason why it's not so bad is because you have other people to talk to talk about how rough it is when you're calling the game. I'm live. I'm talking about live for the games. You know,
Oh yeah.
which I gotta hit this dude back up and find out what the fuck is going on for this season. Okay, so we're gonna shift gears. That's enough basketball. We've talked basketball out the wazoo. We're gonna get into some football now, because you know what we do every single week.
Real talk.
We make some picks.
Besides, real talk. We all know NBA season doesn't really start out till Christmas.
Says
Day
you.
weekend.
Says you. All these games matter to me. They all matter. Listen, it's all real to me, B. It's all real to me.
I mean, they all real. They all matter.
They all
But
matter
I'm just
to
saying,
me.
like,
The interest of the public eye.
what I'm saying is, by Christmas Day, we know who's real, who's fake, and all of that by that
But
time.
see, I like to find out myself. I like to see who was real and who was fake during the hard, because not all fake people are
Lord knows
bad.
all I know is I love my NBA too. Lord knows I'm not changing that NFL game on a Sunday to watch an NBA game, unless that NFL game is just complete trash.
And that's why I got 2 TVs. And was debating about keeping a third in here recently. Like, this is why I have fully realized that one TV will not suffice for wherever I am doing the maximum consuming of my sports at.
Facts.
Because there's days I don't want to turn off whatever main sport I'm watching. I could scout on another TV, but that's why I miss picture in picture. But well, that's a whole other story. So, week 13 of the NFL.
I ain't gonna lie, we gotta get some Jay-Z instrumentals in here.
You want some Jay-Z?
Big up Jay-Z.
You want some Jay-Z?
Big up Sean Corey Carter.
Oh, wait. Oh.
December 4th.
Oh. You
Happy birthday. Big up the goat them. Big up the goat them.
Oh, that's Lil Wayne. Hey. Is that Lil Wayne and Jay-Z? No. Okay.
Nah, Jay-Z
So-
is nowhere near that track.
Okay. So, here we go. And no
There
doubt,
we
and
go.
no doubt, and no doubt, and no doubt. Two, because you're talking, because
50
you're talking about the two Brooklyn heads in here,
facts.
right? So, and as we're talking about where KJ is at, right, and where I'm at, and where Jay-Z is at, we're talking about 3 different generations of Brooklyn here, right? Which, let me see, there's at least 10 years separated on each level, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So, you know how Brooklyn goes. So yeah, Jay-Z's birthday. You know how we said, don't you even remember December 4th, my birthday, when he made that song about his pops? It is Jay-Z's birthday. So big up to Jay-Z and his birthday. You know.
Hey.
Facts. So we're gonna give some love to Brooklyn as we talk. So we had our picks this past week, right? So we're gonna rock a lot of Jay-Z for these next couple of sections. So I hope you guys are ready.
Hell yeah.
So we had our picks this week. There were 16 games. You already know how I say this. You did good. You had double-digit wins.
Shut up.
You went 10-6.
Shut up.
Like you had a really, really, really good week.
Shut up.
But I had a better week.
How much better? How much better?
By 1 game.
Wow, what a fucking...
Listen, we have not disagreed a lot when it came to these picks. It's usually 1 or 2 games that we differ in,
fucking games.
and that's where the difference makes up at, right?
What game was it? What
So-
game really...
Before we even get there, right? Before we even get to all of the picks, right? Let's actually talk about a little bit about the playoff hunt that we're in, right? Because we are in the middle of a playoff hunt, right? And things are getting interesting. We have both.
Seattle is coming for that ass. Seattle is coming for that ass.
Seattle in the NFC along with New Orleans are leading the
New Orleans
NFC.
about to get smoked this weekend.
But-
I'm telling you right now.
But listen, but right now they're both in the top 2 that are scheduled to have that bye week. Just like in the AFC, we got Baltimore and New England. And in the playoff picture for both of them, we got Houston, Kansas City, Buffalo still, and Pittsburgh. Your Pittsburgh Steelers. Who, once again, we're going to
Coach
talk
of the
about
year, baby. Go Steelers.
we're
Black
going
and
to talk
yellow.
about the great coaching job that is going on in Pittsburgh. And we're going to tell you during the course of in probably the next 10 minutes or so, maybe next 15, 20 minutes, what happens when you have a bad coaching job and when you lose to teams that you shouldn't lose to. Because also in the NFC hunt, we got Green Bay, Dallas still, because what did I tell you last week? Like, listen, we both thought Philly was gonna win. But I didn't think Dallas. I told you Dallas. I told you things were gonna look rough.
Did I
on-
pick Dallas that week? I didn't pick Dallas. Don't play me. I didn't pick Dallas.
No, you didn't.
Okay, I was about to say, oh, you talking like I picked Dallas? I'm like, oh, no.
But I told you that Dallas was gonna need help because you said to me that Dallas was gonna be able to contend still for that for their division, and I was like,
Unfortunately.
hey, if Philly wins this week, where are they gonna make it up at?
I want Philly to win that shit.
Philly
I do
didn't-
not want to see no fucking Cowboys in the playoffs.
Unfortunately,
Fuck them
Philly
niggas.
did not come through for us. But
Fucking
we're gonna
Philly
we're
losing
gonna
to
go
the damn
into
Cowboys, to the damn Dolphins, man.
outside of Dallas, we got San Francisco and also Minnesota sniffing the playoffs, right? I'm gonna do something a little bit different. Before we talk about the weeks, let's talk about the. We're gonna go into our top 5 first for the week. All right, we're gonna go right into the top 5 this week because in the top 5, right? As you know, we got qualifications. So I'm gonna tell you how many of these quarterbacks made it to the top. So out of our top 5 quarterbacks, only 3 qualified to be talked about, really, and when we go over our week. But
Sean Watson, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson.
we had
Boom,
Jared
boom.
Goff,
What?
number 1 quarterback this week.
What? What for?
424 yards,
Against who?
2 touchdowns, no interceptions, got sacked once. I'm just saying. That happened. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Really?
Behind him?
I just gave you 3 MVP candidates who not only ball
Wait, what was
against
wait, what did wait, I didn't hear that. Give me them again.
Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson.
We're not going to talk about any of them in this top 5 this week.
Wow, you playing me.
No,
you playing
they
me.
didn't make it.
You're playing
They
me.
didn't make it.
You're playing me right now. This whole list is invalid. The
I
list
didn't-
invalid.
How can
the list
I
invalid.
don't make the list.
The list is not valid.
I don't make the list.
The list is not
This
valid.
is the
Whoever
top-
made the list, tear it up.
They
Tear it
make the
up,
list by their
shoot
numbers.
Shoot yourself.
What's the-
You're fired.
How do you make the list?
I don't care. All I know is those 3 quarterbacks.
Okay.
Best performances.
But they don't get
top
mentioned.
top tier.
We don't.
opponent.
But they don't get mentioned in the top 5 section. I'm
Lamar
sorry.
Jackson. Who's Lamar Jackson
But
went
also,
against?
whoa,
Lamar
whoa,
Jackson,
whoa,
San
whoa.
Francisco.
Have we forgotten? Have we forgotten?
Russell Wilson. Monday Night Football against the Vikings.
Whoa, whoa,
Deshaun
whoa,
Watson.
Whoa.
Sunday Night Football against the Patriots defense.
Have you forgotten what I also call my top 5?
Participation in what? Those 3 people were the reasons that team won.
So,
Come
the
on.
top 5 is just the top 5 quarterbacks that put up the best numbers for their team. It's the top 5 running backs, rushers, not even running backs, rushers for their teams, and the top 5 receivers for their teams. That's what the top 5 is. Listen, I understand that there were some dynamic things that may have happened, but
Jared Goff, number 1.
But that doesn't
quarterback.
mean that you get into the top 5 mentioned here. And that's the reason why we normally do this.
Congratulations, Jared Goff. You beat the shit out the Arizona Cardinals.
And that's the reason
3-18.
why I have
After
always
getting the shit kicked out of you the previous week.
So
Congratulations, Jared
remember,
Goff.
when you're not in the top 5, how do you normally have to get mentioned? Not only do you have to win, but you always have to put up the numbers. The top 5, you just have to put up the numbers. And that's what these guys did here.
That's
So, number 1,
That means I'm gonna hear
Jared Goff
Ryan
with the
Fitzpatrick.
4x4. 424 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack. And then we got Fitzmagic.
Oh, Lord.
Fitzmagic for
I'm not going to lie. I'll give him that. At least he did it in a close game. I'll give
and
him
he
that.
was one of the quarterbacks that had over 350 yards. There was only 3 of them. Ryan Fitzmagic was one of them. 365 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked twice. Behind him, we got Dak Prescott, the last one on that list. 355 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 4 times.
Boo. Boo. So we put the quarterback who got their ass kicked on Thanksgiving Day on this list, but one of the 3 quarterbacks who went and got big wins over the weekend against superior opponents can't get on that list.
You made it seem like this is the first time you've heard this list.
Boo.
You made it seem like this is the first time you've heard this list.
Oh, but it's not the first time, but this is crazy, son. This is wild.
This is why this is the Participation Award section of the
This is
show.
wild. Yeah, that right there, that's some participation.
Like Mitchell
shit right
Trubisky
there.
comes in number 4.
What?
338 yards, 3 touchdowns,
Irrelevant ass football right there.
1 touchdown and 1 sack.
Who the hell
Intercept-
gave a
wait.
damn about that game anyway?
3
That was the
touchdowns,
game-
1 interception,
That
1
was
sack.
the game everybody just had on for background noise. Nobody was watching that game.
Tom Brady.
What the fuck? So we're gonna
These-
we're gonna put the quarterback that Deshaun Watson beat. But Deshaun can't get all.
So these
my
were the top
goodness.
5 performing quarterbacks
Whack.
of the week.
Whack.
Listen,
Whack.
you
whack.
see it. I don't.
That
I don't.
list.
I don't.
I'm bonfire upon that list, them.
I don't make this up.
Fire upon the list, there.
But you notice, I don't.
Fire upon it.
I don't know if you meant. I don't know if you realize.
Fire upon it. Only one quarterback out of that whole list is worthy of any type of praise, and that's Ryan Fitzpatrick. The rest of y'all, fire upon yourself.
Ryan Fitzpatrick gets no praise, except for he's Ryan Fitzmagic. That's the only reason why. Other than that, he gets no love. I forgot that song was
It's
playing
all right,
too.
Ryan, you'll get for this part right here, you'll get love from me. The rest of those niggas I heard, the Jared Goff, what?
All right.
Get out of here.
So normally,
The quarterback that Deshaun Watson beat.
normally,
Dak Prescott got his ass dragged by the Buffalo Bills, and this man.
see, I'm glad this week I gave you the top 5 before we ran through the week because I was hoping for this kind of response from you because I wanted everybody to see because Listen, I normally go through the week first, and I only talk about the winners when I go through the week. I only talk about the winners, and I only talk about them if the quarterback.
We had 2 niggas who made that.
But I'm
that
not
top
talking
5.
about the winners yet. We're only doing the top 5 right now, and I normally go to the top 5 afterwards. See, we normally give the participation award out after we talk about all the winners. Now we're actually talking about the participation award first, because I wanted you guys to hear of who actually balled this week before we gave you the results. I wanted you to hear of who actually put up numbers. I'm putting ear quotes up. Who actually put up numbers?
How much of those numbers came in garbage
And
time?
we're going to talk about who actually won. Because a lot of these guys didn't actually win. At least some of them didn't. We had
Some of them got the shit kicked out of them.
we had 6 rushers that put up over 100 yards. And I'm going to talk about all 6 in this category. So I'm not going to do top 5. I'm going to talk about all 6. And there's a reason for the all 6. And
I want to hear this shit. The quarterbacks already blew minds.
so, first one, we got Derrick Henry from Tennessee.
Surprised. He's been running that thing all year long.
Derrick Henry also ended up getting the Bludgeon Award this week for having over 25 touches. He had 26 of them.
Pay that man.
149 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble.
Pay that man right now. The way he's
Behind
been running
him?
that ball.
We have a lot of names we have not mentioned all year. Raheem
Mostert.
Yep.
He had a nice run against Baltimore.
19 yards, 146. 19 attempts, 146 yards and a touchdown from San Francisco. Behind him, Darius Juice.
Ooh, Darius Geis.
Ah, I call him Juice.
Cool. I like Juice. Juice sounds better.
From Washington, 10 attempts, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He did run that thing very, very well. 60-something yard run against Carolina.
Number 4 in rushers,
And they won at least.
Josh Jacobs out of Oakland. 17 attempts.
Oh, my God.
104 yards.
Would you mind telling me the score of that game that Josh Jacobs was
We're
involved
gonna
in?
get there in a moment because when we get there, he won't matter.
I can guarantee you a good amount of those yards came when the game was well over. Because his team was getting the shit kicked out of them.
But if you really want to know, that game was 40-9.
I know the score. I just wanted you to say it.
Then we had Chris Carson from Seattle.
Valid.
23 attempts, 2 shy of the Bludgeon Award. 102 yards,
Big valid.
1 touchdown,
Clutch running.
and that was 5, right? I told you I had 6.
All I know is Chris Carson, out of that whole list, I give him the most weight because some of his runs were very, very, very clutch. Because I watched that Monday night game from start to finish. Very good game.
Well, when I tell you who number 6 was, you're gonna take that statement back.
Go ahead.
Number 6.
Now I would like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend, the MVP frontrunner, Big Trust. Woo woo. In the flesh. Yes, sir. Big Trust. New era 8 apparel.
The guy who should have been on the last list too. But
Mr. Incredible, Mr. Grease Lightning, Mr. Action Jackson, Mr. Jackson if you're nasty, he made it into the top. And I had to include him because there was only 6 rushers that had over 100 yards, and he was the last one for 101. He schooled them cats and showed them how runners should run.
he should have been on the quarterbacks list too.
16 attempts,
Very, very clutch play.
101 yards, 1 touchdown and also a fumble. Richard Sherman stripped him of that one. Richard Sherman is going to be the last time we mention him today.
Sure. Hall of Famer.
Now we move on to the receivers. And that's just why I said rushers last one. To make you understand, it wasn't all running backs. It was rushers. Just like this is full of receivers. There's no tight ends in here today. But the next category is
It's
receivers.
been disappointing, to be honest, this year. Tight ends haven't been as dominant as they used to be.
Yeah.
As years
Well,
pass.
normally you usually have like 3
Not even Travis Kelce's been as dominant.
You talking about Travis Kelce?
From Kansas City.
Even the guy from Philly, Zach
Yeah,
Ertz.
Zach Ertz. He normally at least he have catch a whole bunch of passes.
So, because
Kittle, the one that has popped out a couple games, but even him, he's been injured and stuff. Tight ends haven't been what I've been accustomed to. Maybe that's just because Gronk retired. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, and we're used to having like 2, 3, at least 3 tight ends usually at the top, putting up regular wide receiver numbers. And right now, I feel like we just have tight ends putting up tight end numbers.
Exactly.
So what we want to go? We want to go Memphis and Chicago, Indy and Oklahoma City. What else is over there? Minnesota. And where isn't you moving?
Maybe that's not the right one.
No. Okay. No, it's just doing its own thing. There we go. That's why it's currently not available.
That TV's being a hater.
So we had 14 receivers over 100 yards. Obviously, we're going to talk about the top 5. Oh, we already did that song. Number 1. Oh, and I forgot to put their teams down. Robert Woods. 13 yards, 13 catches, 172 yards.
Nice game. Could have used that shit against Baltimore last week.
Ooh. And that's Robert Woods from LA. Next up was Devontae Parker.
He balled. He sure did.
For Miami. 7 receptions, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He balled.
Next up we have Kenny Galladay from Detroit. 4 catches, 158 yards. He had the most yards out of everybody per catch. 1 touchdown. Anthony Miller.
One of them was like 70-something yards.
Anthony Miller from Chicago. 9 catches, 140 yards. No touchdowns. And last on that list, Alshon Jeffrey actually caught some patches. He didn't short arm some shit.
No, that's Aguilar who be short on this shit.
Listen, Philadelphia as a whole I'm sorry.
Philadelphia as a
Aguilar
whole
has been
quarterback.
short arming. Alshon Jeffrey just has been butterfingers.
Listen, Philadelphia as a team just been dropping the ball this year. They're just disappointed.
And the last on that list? Wait, that was the last on that list. That was it. Alshon Jeffrey was last. Now let's actually go into the week itself. I told you had 10 out of 6 out of the 16 teams right. I had 11, so I went 11-5. You went 10-6. Like I said, regardless, we're still making somebody money. If they put the same amount of money on every single game and bet them all through, they're still coming away with a profit.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, you bitches need to pay me, man.
So the first game, because you wanted
take Cash App.
Because you wanted to talk about the games. First game, we both had it right, where Chicago went into Detroit. We thought Chicago was going to come in with that victory, as we thought that defense and whatever Mitchell Trubisky was there. So listen, the monster came out. Monster Mitch was able to put it into second gear and was able to putt past the Bears.
It was looking scary for them at first, though.
We already told you, Anthony Miller, who's number 4 on that list.
Yeah, he balled.
9 catches.
He balled. 140-something yards?
140 yards. Right after that,
he needed a touchdown.
We had Buffalo going to Dallas. We were both right about that one as well. You question if you picked Dallas? Nah, you didn't. Buffalo.
We need to talk about that one for a little bit.
What does Dak Prescott like to do before the game? What is that?
His little
So Buffalo put their hips into it.
Sure did.
Right?
They sure
and
did.
They snuffed out them boys. Cole Beasley. 6 catches, 110 yards. I told you, there's a lot of receivers that had over 100 yards. Cole Beasley was one of them, and he added a touchdown. You said you want to talk about that game?
Yeah,
go ahead and talk about it. They beat Dallas 26-15.
They beat them down. Dallas has problems, man. They really do. For me, it's a toss-up between them and Atlanta for most disappointing team in the league this year, to be honest. And if you want to,
where does the disappointment come for you in Dallas?
If you want to throw Cleveland in there too, feel free. I don't really care.
They are definitely disappointed as well. But where does the disappointment in Dallas come from for you?
Dude, Dallas has what I feel has become a top 10 quarterback.
Okay, so who's under? Okay, so I'm asking you, who's under achievement in Dallas? Who is under? Where in Dallas are they underachieving?
The team as a whole, they're underachieving.
Are
From
all elements of their
from
game
top to
underachieving?
bottom. For a team like that has a quarterback that has a top 5 running back that they just paid, who has a receiver who people have been arguing with me is top 5. They got elements on that. They got a tight end that it seems like somehow, some way, even though we slow as a fucking snail, when you need a really clutch completion, you can find them and boom, it's a first down. The chains keep moving, and he's been like that his whole career. Offensive line, well, I've always been told one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. Defense, you got DeMarcus Lawrence over there, top 5 pass rusher. 2 stalwarts, 2 studs in the linebacking core in terms of Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. And if anything, and if there's one knock in terms of their whole squad, it's the secondary with it's their secondary. But even that, Byron Jones be doing his thing, whatever. But like, I just feel like them as a whole, it's like, bro, there is too much talent. Now, in terms of the depth that you guys have, whatever. But in terms of the starting 22 from offense and defense, that team has no business being 6-6 right now. None whatsoever. Their record, and I'm gonna go the same way with Philly.
You're right.
Both of them.
I'm glad you mentioned Philly because I was gonna throw them in there as well.
Both of them are disappointing. Both of them are disappointing. Them 2 in Atlanta, for me, 3 most disappointing teams this year. But we just sticking with Dallas right now. Because Philly, I feel like injuries also have played a part with them. But Dallas, I can't think of no major injury that's really cost them like this. I feel like with them, it's from the head down, from management to coaching. Definitely coaching a big part, but I definitely saw some plays Thanksgiving Day where I'm like, that's not on coaching. That's on the players. But when I see a quarter, let me get this one out. This is the one that really hits. When I see a quarterback, no offense to anybody listening, but when I see a big white quarterback fumble the ball on a 4th and 1, pick it up, and still looks scrambled in terms of what to do, but still manages to get ahead for a first down, not only for just the first down, but still get 3 to 4 yards on top of that. And I see people on the Cowboys side just standing there and looking at him. I'm like, yo, how's that coaching? How's that on coaching? A quarterback fumbles the ball on a 4th and 1. He shouldn't even be able to pick up the ball at all. That play should have been snuffed.
Because he should get sideswiped.
Nothing. Exactly. He should get sideswiped. He should have got snuffed. All of that. That should not happen. Somebody should have cleaned his clock, and that's it. Cowboys ball right there, and who knows where that game goes from right there. If I remember correctly, on that drive, Buffalo ended up getting a touchdown on that exact drive. So it's like, how can you blame coaching for that?
But isn't Ezekiel Elliott injured? Doesn't he have a torn glute from all the money that he was paid?
He must.
Because he hasn't been. Because ultimately, he ain't performing.
But see, no. Let me come, at least for this last game, let me come to the defense of Zeke. Because that is where coaching comes into it. That's where they fucked up with the coaching. Because Zeke was eaten in the first quarter. Already had 56 yards, something like that, on about 7 carries, something like that. Do you know he finished the game with 12 carries and 71 yards? How the fuck? 1 quarter into a 4-quarter game, I've already got 56 yards. I'm already over halfway to 100. What the fuck are you doing only running the ball another 4 times? What type of sense does that make? Does that make any type of sense if you even try to explain it? No, I just talked about it right now, and it doesn't make sense to me. Not at all. I don't understand.
So I'm kind of mad now. Got one of these TVs aren't working because There's Dallas that's on, but there's also Portland that's on. And I want to see Portland a lot too. So, yeah, Dallas is disappointing. Dallas
Highly
is
disappointed, man. From
is
the coaching
is
to
one
the
of the
players.
like when you talk about some of the disappointing teams of the year, Dallas, Philly, Cleveland, those are some
Don't
of
get me
the
wrong. From top to bottom, they've all had their moments where they don't show up. Dak's had his games where he doesn't show up. Zeke's had his games he don't show up.
Atlanta.
Amari Cooper's had his games he don't show up. That defense from the linebacking core has games they don't show up. The line, DeMarcus Lawrence, there are times where I'm like, yo, are you even on the field? And then Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore, I'm like, what the hell are y'all niggas calling? Yeah, like, have y'all niggas ever called offense before? Do you even know your personnel at this point?
I mean,
And then-
Carolina, but that's
And then
because
this,
of
and then
injuries.
this,
so
and
you
then this
can't look at
nigga
teams with
Jerry
injuries.
Jones, son.
Even LA Rams a little bit.
That nigga Jerry Jones, man, he be tap dancing and shit. He come out one moment and say like he's disappointed with the coaching, but then he wants to come out and say Jason Garrett's gonna have a job in the NFL next year. I'm like,
Until the end of the year. Which you can
well,
understand.
no. Look, I clearly read between the lines when he said Jason Garrett will be a coach in the NFL next year. That basically means you won't be coaching here, but you'll be coaching somewhere else in the NFL.
Of course. Yeah.
Which I don't understand why, because what
Well,
the
they
fuck-
said the Giants.
what the-
They
what
said
the
the
fuck-
Giants want to get up.
I have no idea
I don't
why.
get that either.
I have no idea.
If I'm the
why-
Giants, this
I
is
have no idea why Jason Garrett is even a candidate for anybody else's coaching team, because I'm like, what the fuck has he done?
Can I tell you
What
this?
the fuck has he done?
If
I
I'm
got the coach in Carolina who just got fired, which I don't understand that shit at all.
Well,
That shit doesn't make sense
Oh,
to
we'll
me.
get there.
That shit doesn't make sense to me. He's more qualified to get a head coaching job next season right away before Jason Garrett should be at all.
If the New York Giants get Jason Jarrett, they
Dumb.
need to be as infuriated as I am about the New
About
York
the
Jets.
Jays.
Thank you. So next up, we had New Orleans going to Atlanta, right? And we both picked Atlanta to win, to do exactly what we thought that they would do to Atlanta. They beat them 26-18. Unfortunately, they just didn't have anybody that made it onto the list. Michael Thomas didn't put up over 100. Drew Brees didn't put up over 350. Like, they just balled out. And Atlanta, once again, just showed the level of inadequacy. So when we talk about the top 5 disappointing teams of this year, Atlanta's one of them.
Them niggas.
It's
them
Phil-
niggas,
Philly.
They're number one for me. Atlanta. They're number one for me.
But we're talking-
Don't get it twisted.
Atlanta-
Even though I just spent all that time talking about the Cowboys, don't get it twisted on who the number one disappointing team in the NFL is. That team right there in Atlanta, absolutely without question.
And that's because they have a proven commodity. That's the only reason why Cleveland isn't above them, to me. It's because they all have veterans that should be doing this. Versus Cleveland having a bunch of young guys that is all high on their name.
Exactly.
Like, you know what to do. You've been there. You've seen the promised land. You shouldn't be putting up this kind of
You
performance.
was right there. You was a quarter and a half away
You were
from
up
it.
28-3.
You was a quarter and a half away from it, and then what happened from there? I can't even attempt to explain.
You know what?
that
Because
shit.
their season is looking like the second half of that game.
It's
So yeah,
utterly
we're talking
ridiculous,
about
man.
Atlanta. We're talking about Cleveland. We're talking about Dallas. We're talking about Philly. And who
Trust
else?
me, a lot of these teams gonna get some sauce today. A lot of these teams gonna get some sauce today.
So next we move into Tennessee versus Indy. Right?
I
You
picked
were
the
right
Titans.
about Tennessee. You picked
Sleeping on them
Tennessee.
Titans.
I was
Don't do
wrong
that.
about Indy. Tennessee beat Indy 31-7. Derrick Henry ran, as we already said, 26 times, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. Put working on them boys, were able to get the bludgeoning award.
Look, all I'm gonna really say about this game here is that, look, Vinatieri, you've had your time. You've made a lot of clutch kicks in this league. If it wasn't for your leg, the Patriots don't have 2 of their Super Bowls. And if it wasn't for your leg, Peyton Manning doesn't have his Super Bowl in Indianapolis. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, that story of OJ, classic, right there. But yes, there comes a time where, hey, Father Time is undefeated, even for you kickers. Because obviously there's some kickers out here playing into their 40s or whatever. I think Vinatieri's like 45, something like that. 45.
Yeah,
46,
he's old
something
enough
like
to
that.
pass. Like
But
it may be officially that time.
It's time.
It's looking
time,
like
it's
it.
time for him to put these cleats up. There's been too many times this year alone. It's just some of the times where he's really missed hadn't really cost him. The only real 2 times where it caught like either his misses cost him a game, obviously in Pittsburgh, but even that kick really wasn't his fault because the his holder gave him the laces, and as anybody who's kicked the football knows, you give me the laces, that shit is going way left, way right. It is not going right down the middle how it should be. So, but either way, like that it just happens to be that was at the end of the game, and there have obviously been other times where he's missing extra points and just other field goals, and then you have the game the other day. Like, granted that shit was mad far, and it was blocked, but it's just like, ugh. How much more do we need here?
It does keep looking bad
It just
for
keeps
him.
happening. It just keeps happening. Whether it's misses, block kicks, it's like
It's starting to add up for him, and that's not
you know,
and
it's
not for
not
nothing.
good. And you don't want to see that's one of the goats when it comes to kicking, man. You don't want to see shit like this happening.
And not
to
for
them.
nothing, like, see, now when you see, and this is also part of the new era of kickers, when you start adding in extra points and also field goals, and now all your extra points aren't gimme chip shots, they're now
Right.
actually regular field goals. You are gonna start to see more misses, and now you start to see a little people come down a little bit to the means. And now when you put kickers into the Hall of Fame, now it's really gonna be because they had a really good average, not because like, oh, look at all these extra points they were able to get up because their teams was good and they had chip shots. Because listen, I feel like if you gave quarterbacks the option to do 2-point conversions on all those things, you would have a lot more successful. You would have a lot more quarterbacks with a lot deeper numbers that would be able to at least boost their numbers up. You know what I mean? Because it is a chip shot. Versus if you said, hey, we want you to have to always throw 1 touchdown from the 35-yard line. You know what I mean? 2-yard line versus the 35-yard line.
Absolutely.
So. Next.
Yes, sir. Next game, baby.
We have the New York Jets. Take on.
Because that's basically what the Jets did that game. But
Take
the floor
on-
is yours.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
I don't need to say a word. This is you right here. It's all you, big dog.
I just want to start off by saying something to you, which I just want to let you understand how absurd this may sound. The New York Jets took a team for granted.
Twice.
They went into this game and they actually took a team for granted. I just want you to understand that. That's how it starts off, right?
Let those 3 wins get to their head. Let those
The New
3
York
straight
Jets
get to
just
their
lost
head.
to the worst team in football. Again. Not the same team. That's the worst team in football. A different team. That's. I almost threw up in my car going to work the other day. Thinking about the New York Jets just lost to the Dolphins. And they didn't have a win. The New York Jets lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. They didn't have a win.
Hold the gaze.
The New York Jets about to go into Miami next week. They may lose next week again to the.
Let it all out, dog. Let it all out, man.
No. I'm not even gonna get mad. I'm not even gonna get mad. 'Cause I'm there's a part of me that's happy this happened, right? and I'm gonna tell you where is part of me that's happy this happened. Small part, very small part. I'm disgusted. I'm completely disgusted. Completely disgusted. It's so. This could be the reality check to any Jets fan that was holding on to any glimmer of hope. Because I wasn't. I'm just mad of how disgusted their loss looks. I didn't think they had any playoff aspirations. I don't.
All you need to know is that since he was one of the worst rush defensive teams in the NFL, and the Jets just paid Le'Veon Bell all of that money, and they didn't give him the ball nowhere near enough times. And then on top of that, they still have Ty Montgomery and Bilal Pop. Like I said, I shouldn't even be talking. This is all you. This is all you, dog.
So
I'm just gonna sit here, sip my drink.
A part of me was happy for the loss because I wanted it to be the reality check that it needed to be to all Jets fans that thought that there was a glimmer of hope about this season. To all Jets fans that thought that, if Sam Darnold hadn't caught in mono and we hadn't lost our quarterback for the first beginning of the season, that we would have had a better record. No. Because I'm going to point out something that's very, 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 very meaningful. What game did we just talk about before the Jets game? Tennessee versus Indy.
Yes, sir.
What was that score?
31-17.
Who's their starting quarterback?
Mr. Tannehill.
Where did Tannehill play for?
Those Dolphins down
Who was his former head coach?
Mr. Gaze.
Who is no longer his head coach?
Mr. Gaze.
And what is he doing all of a sudden?
He is leading the Jets to L's in Cincinnati.
No. I'm talking about Tannehill.
Oh, Tannehill. Oh, he's leading Tennessee to wins and possibly a playoff berth in Tennessee.
So Tannehill's actually looking at everything what we thought he could have been as a quarterback. But we couldn't figure out what was constantly holding him back. And now we see he's no longer on Adam Gase, that he's actually putting up decent, reputable numbers, actually looking like a quarterback that you want to have. So basically the good quarterback that Miami had is looking good now that he no longer has Gase. We need to hurry up and get Gase out of New York because Washington played Carolina, right? We're going to move on fast, right? Washington played Carolina. They lost to Carolina. They lost. Carolina, with their backup quarterback, lost to Washington. Another team that you shouldn't lose to. 29-21. They were so embarrassed that they fired their head coach for losing to a team that you shouldn't lose to. Hint, 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 New York Jets. Hint, 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 hint. Oh, but no, the Jets want to go ahead and give their head coach a vote of confidence that hasn't done shit in the league in 3 years. Ron Rivera has done shit.
Went to a Super Bowl, won a division numerous times. The only reason why Carolina has looked somewhat bad the last couple years is because Mr. Newton has gotten hurt. Got hurt last year in the game against my Steelers where we tapped that ass. Shout out to the Steelers for that game. But y'all didn't have to hurt Cam Newton because look at the shit that's going on in Carolina because of this shit now. But yeah, he got hurt then, and they were 6-2 at the time. He got hurt, and that shit has been downhill from there. So you gonna fire that man off that? Look, kudos to you. But hey, it's just another saying of
what have you done for me lately?
Because there's new ownership going on over there. New ownership. I think a new GM as well. But it's like basically because I heard it recently. It was just like okay.
Yeah, because isn't the GM that used to be the current GM in the Giants right now, right?
No, their old GM is who's the GM of the Giants.
It's what I'm saying. Yeah, Carolina's old GM.
Yeah, he's over there. But yeah, either way, it's like when you get a whole new regime, a whole new power over there, it's like everything you did doesn't fucking matter. What you do from that moment on is all that matters. So that Super Bowl, that going to the Super Bowl shit, doesn't matter. Those division titles that you got, the 12-win seasons, the 13-win season, doesn't matter. It don't matter what you do from that moment now, which was basically last year up to this point. That's what they're going off of. So when you don't have the results they're looking for, and on top of that, you're not their pick. You're not that owner's pick to be the head man in charge. Makes it easier for them to cut bait. Which sucks because that dude is a very, very good coach. And I'm not sure Carolina can do much better than what they have. Especially when one of the coaches that you're going against in your own division is one of the coaches considered to be one of the best in the league. Like, to be real, after Belichick and probably Tomlin, there's a legitimate argument that Sean Payton is probably the third. And there are some that will argue he's the second best coach in this league. So it's like, good luck getting a coach that it's at least as good, if not better than what you had.
So the way I feel about it then is that if you lost to the New York Jets this year, then you should get fired. If you lost to the New York Jets this year, then you should be fired.
That's why Jason Garrett gone. Pat Shurmur, most likely.
If you lost to Miami Dolphins this year, you should be fired. If you lost to the Washington Redskins, you should be fired.
I wouldn't say the Indianapolis quarterback coach should be gone. I feel like that was more of a quarterback thing that day. They had Brian Hoyer.
I'll exempt Indy.
Because I feel like Indy's coach.
But Miami's coach should be fired. I don't know who the fuck they lost to. But yeah, all them guys. Like
Philly's coach? Nah, I don't think they should be fired.
You just said they would have an underwhelming season, just like Dallas, and you want Jared Goff.
Their problem, I think, is definitely more of a player thing than it is coach. I mean, I literally have 3 games that if a receiver just happened to hold on to a football and make a catch, that's 3 wins right there for the Eagles. They're 5-7. That would mean they would be 8-4 if that happened. In Atlanta, if Aguilar catches a pass, game over, touchdown. The next game at home against Detroit, if Arcega-Whiteside, a rookie receiver, catches a deep post over the middle, touchdown, game over. And then just a couple weeks ago, if Aguilar catches a pass in the end zone against New England, that thing is over. It's done. So it's like, that's 3 games right there that would change this whole narrative about the Eagles season right there if those 3 plays are made. So I'm not gonna put that on coaching when, like I said, literally it's 3 plays and 1 play in 3 different games that just need to be made for the whole outlook on their season to be different.
Le'Veon Bell had 10 attempts for 32 yards in that game.
How the...
Darius Geis
Wow.
for Washington had 10 attempts for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So wait, what you trying to say? What you trying to say about Le'Veon?
I'm just saying this is the scheme that was coached up for him.
Oh, okay. It's just the fact that you brought somebody else who had 10 carries. It trying to make it kind of sounded like you were coming at Le'Veon like part of this was his problem. And I'm like,
and he got Carolina fired. His head coach fired. I hope the Jets get him next year. I'll take him all day.
Oh yeah, because I'm pretty sure that coach will know to fucking give Le'Veon Bell the fucking football.
So here goes the game you wanted to talk about. San Francisco versus Baltimore. Baltimore was able to give Jimmy the vasectomy. Lamar Jackson, 16 attempts, 101 yards, one touchdown. This is a good game. Don't let the score of 17-20 fool you.
Yeah, do not let that score.
Because it wasn't a shootout, but this game had
for a little bit it had a little run like it was gonna be a shootout.
It looked like it
had a little run like it was gonna be a shootout.
Because both teams scored early back and forth.
It was 17-14 going into halftime.
They answered each other's bells a couple of times. We saw Lamar Jackson fumble the ball once, get stripped by, as I said, Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, that's like I said, only time he gets mentioned in the show today is for that. Nothing else that he did really mattered. They did their thing. It was the game lived up. It wasn't like the Houston game that we saw that didn't live up to the hype with Baltimore. Like, this game lived up to what we were hoping it was going to be. And we saw, in a weird way, like, I felt like, again, we were watching the Harbaugh brothers play again for, like...
Man, the way this game...
Supremacy.
Because I had a stretch where... Because I ended up going to Bruise for the games later on. But while I was getting ready, because, like, I got home late from playing football or whatever, I had the Steelers game on the TV because it was one of the few times where they had the Steelers game on the main TV on CBS down here. So I had that there, but then on the iPad, I had this game on as well. So I'm watching back and forth as I'm getting ready before I leave. And for a good stretch, this game here, I'm like, yo, both of these teams might touch 30 today. The way it was going at first, it was going back and forth and matching tick for tack and stuff. I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I feel like a game like this, I feel like there wasn't really much more you could have asked for. And like, I'm hearing the talk that's going on and stuff. Like, I'm hearing Jimmy Garoppolo's the weak link and stuff, and I'm just like,
oh, all of a sudden he's the weak link? Suddenly?
That's what I'm like, yo, how's he the weak link?
It wasn't the rest of the passing game that they had? Or his
it's
rest of his
like,
weapons? Because I could have sworn Kittle's... I could have sworn Kittle's came out...
The thing is, he's got weapons and stuff, but it's bull. The reason why it's bullshit is because you hear shit that you know, you see how they did last week against Green Bay. They beat the dog shit out of them, and Jimmy made some very good throws that game. And
Jimmy had a game of 424 yards.
Exactly. That was the week before when they were getting their ass kicked 16-0, and he led them to a comeback win. So it's just like,
yeah, we haven't heard about him being the weak link all year. Yeah, don't talk about the weak link against.
Weak link because he went into. Here, let me. Audience, I want to put all of this into perspective. Jimmy Garoppolo is being called the weak link of the San Francisco 49ers because he went into a game on the road in Baltimore, which is basically for San Francisco a 10 a.m. game because they're playing on the East Coast. So in their mind, that's 10 in the morning.
They're still warming up.
They walked into a team that is 9-2, has the MVP frontrunner who nobody can figure out yet. And it's not like their offense is big plays. They're how they move is just methodically moving down the field. And I promise you, if they see Kansas City right now, they will get smoked. Kansas City will get smoked. But yeah, Baltimore, they just methodically move down the field. They kill you. They kill you with like 100. What's the saying? 100 slits to the chest, 100 cuts to the body.
Yeah.
That's how Baltimore kills you. Kansas City, they just stab you real good one time, and you're done. But Baltimore methodically moved down the field. Nobody's been able to figure that shit out. So that's what San Francisco went into. Oh, and then you want to add something else too?
We're back. Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and then you want to add something else too? It was 30-something degrees out there and raining. I don't know what offense is going to be productive out there in that type of element. You know what I'm saying? And we acting like Garoppolo was out here just god-awful. 15 of 21. That's not bad. 165 yards. Could have threw more yards. A touchdown.
But you also said the conditions that they were in.
Exactly.
What kind of numbers did his running back have? I'm pretty sure this was kind of those games.
Because those conditions are not gonna let you just be out there flinging the football all over the place. But the running backs, you said one of the running backs right there, Mostert, 19 carries, 146 yards, a touchdown. The conditions at the game was that of, hey, we got to run this football.
And on the other end, we got Lamar Jackson putting up 101 yards.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like both teams ran for 175 plus rushing yards. That was the conditions of that type of football game. So it's like for Jimmy Garoppolo to be judged as Embiid said as the weak link of the team off the conditions of that, that's like, hey, come on now. It's not even right. It's not even right. Now, the game that, and we'll get into that, the game that they have next, that's when you can really judge, because there will be no weather elements. None of it. It will still be an East Coast game for them, but hey, we going into New Orleans, inside of a dome. Honestly, I feel like they should dominate New Orleans, but who knows? And we'll get into that as we talk into games for next week. But speaking of something that I actually wanted to get into, did you hear? It happened. It came up on my phone. Bleacher Report came up on my phone as of like maybe an hour before I got here. It was some shit about just something about, I guess, because I saw. Normally, I don't pay too much attention to stuff like that, but this one just happened to catch my attention. It said San Francisco 49ers radio announcer suspended. I had seen it before, but I just like, whatever. But I picked it up again. I was like, suspended for what? And what I heard, what I read actually, is that this man said, I wanna find the direct thing that man said. Yes, here we go right here. What he said during that game.
Who was this?
Oh yes, this guy's name is Tim Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Tim Ryan. He's a San Francisco 49ers radio announcer. I think he's the analyst. I don't think he's the main one. I think he's the color commentator.
So before you give this, let's go ahead and hand him his award first.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it. I want to put him in the bench. Cause he's a piece of poo. You filthy animal.
Because he said some shit. He said he's referencing Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is really good at that fake. But when you consider his dark skin color with a dark football, with a dark uniform, you could not see that thing. That's what that man said. As a color commentator, how in the motherfuck?
What was that guy's name again?
Tim Ryan, a.k.a. Jackass of the Week.
Oh, he
Donkey of the Day.
He definitely gets the piece of poop award.
Yeah. He's a full-on piece of shit. Full on. So the color of Lamar's skin.
That's tough to swallow. Cause you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of, they look like little nappy-headed hoes. The Don Iman shit. It reminds me of it's where and I feel like I can hear where he tried to backtrack himself a little bit, like with his dark skin, and he's like, oh shit,
it's just
with the dark uniform and the time of day, and dark with my dark skin and the dark ball, and like, no, what the fuck you mean my dark skin, the dark, like, yeah, nah, B.
And the type of season that it's been too sweet.
This is not.
It's been too sweet for
especially
him.
when you're talking
shit
about
like,
the quarterback
like
that they talk about being the the wide receiver.
Yes.
You don't want to mention stuff like this about him, especially like on
not
national.
Now.
It's not going to be taken well.
Not now.
What happened? What's the result of his comments?
Oh, his ass got suspended.
Okay, and he needs to be.
He should be.
He needs to be.
I don't want to hear his voice. And I'm gonna go back to listen to the old tapes just so I know how his voice sounds. Just so I know from this game until at least through the rest of the season, I don't want to hear his voice on no San Francisco 49ers games called at all. He shouldn't be. How dare you? How fucking dare you? And it's like, I swear, the devil, when you've got good going for you, when you've got good going for you, the devil will strike right, kid. Because I'm like, son, for Lamar to be having the season that he's having, it's like, damn, how can I describe it? It's like driving for fucking 15 miles on regular road right here. Like, say you driving down University right here. You just cruising, catching every motherfucking green light. And you just going. Nothing getting no yellow lights, just straight green. Straight green. And that motherfucking comment right there is like getting by fucking 595, by getting University in 595 area right there, and all of a sudden that light just turns red and you get sideswiped out of nowhere. Because like
By the train,
son. Like, damn. How can you say some shit like that, man? I was on my way here. I was walking on the walk in Coral Springs over there. I saw that shit. When I really read, I said, "Wow, motherfuckers really said that shit." Motherfuckers who get paid to commentate a football game, not sound biased, and all of that, really had the motherfucking nerve to say that shit, son. It really blew minds. It blew minds completely. Because of his dark skin, like when you consider his dark skin color with a dark football, with a dark uniform, you could not see. Oh my goodness, kid! Wow.
So I'm trying to think of who else has ever played in a dark colored uniform that's black. Russell
Vic.
Wilson, Michael Vick.
Vic definitely relates, because there are times where Atlanta's wearing an all black uniform,
Geno
and
Smith.
Vic's about as dark as
Sometimes, depending on when they're playing with the Jets.
is
Like
McNabb.
Really?
How can you say
I
some
don't
shit
want to
like that,
dwell on
man?
this guy too much, but
I
just
don't either,
one
man.
last time.
It's just
Cannot
really to
play
put.
with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it. I want to put him in the bed. Cause he's a king. You filthy animal.
Fucking Tim Ryan. Fuck you.
Fuck Tim Ryan, man.
And that's why we're glad that your voice is not on the air anymore. Listen, I don't know how long I would ever last on national airways that I have to be edited.
That is true. That is true.
And that's the reason why I have my own.
And
And that's the reason why I have my own platform and I started my own podcast. Like,
you say whatever the fuck we want, motherfucker.
Exactly.
I have nobody to answer to.
So next we're gonna move on to. So we both were wrong against Carolina. We were both wrong about the Jets. We were both right about Baltimore. This next game we split.
Turn of a cheek.
And if you know he ain't played for that school, listen. This time we're gonna call him Junior, right? But Tampa Bay went into Jacksonville. You had Jacksonville, and I told you don't doubt Junior. I told you don't doubt Junior. Junior was on his Fitzmagic shit lately. He's on his Fitzmagic Junior, and he's putting out another W out of his helmet. And he put up some decent numbers, not enough to be talked about. But he was able to lead his team to a 28-11 victory over Jacksonville, who is another disappointing team, but not surprising. They can be disappointing at times.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we had Green Bay going into New York to take on the Giants. They beat them 31-13.
Drubbed them. Aaron Rodgers looked like what he's supposed to look like. That's the Aaron Rodgers I need to be seeing. Against everybody.
Similar to the New York Jets, the New York Giants, after 3 straight wins, actually 2 wins or 3 straight wins?
I don't recall.
After a couple of good wins, they haven't been.
The Giants getting 82 straight wins.
No, because when Daniel Jones came in, they hadn't won any games.
They beat Tampa, and then they beat Washington, I think it was. Yeah. But yeah, after them 2 games right there, it's been back to the same old ass whoopings.
Yeah, because they're 2-10. Yeah, so they won those 2 straight games, and then that was it. Yeah. So just like the Jets, a couple of good games, and they haven't won any games since. Right. And it continues here against Green Bay. Jamal Williams, 10 catches, 141 yards. That's what I got there? I don't know. I can't read that. And Rodgers
41 yards, just 41. I was gonna say,
why do I have Jamal Williams on here then?
almost just regular 41 yards. Because I was say, whoa, wait, yeah, 10 carries for 141. Whoa.
So why do I have Jamal? Maybe.
You must have saw another one.
I must have. Because
I'm looking at it right now here. Because when you said, I'm like, hey, wait, what?
That's what I'm looking at. Like, wait a minute. I don't even remember hearing about that. I would have, if he had 141 yards in any category, I would have mentioned him earlier today. He would have gotten into the participation award section.
Straight up. Nah, not just participation. His team kicked ass.
So, Philly going into Miami. We were both wrong by picking Philly.
Man.
They disappointed us. They disappointed the world.
Carson Wentz. What's going on?
You know the only people not disappointed by Philly's loss?
Cowboy fans.
Yes. Them boys.
Because they're like, you guys are keeping us alive.
For real. They're the only thing keeping them alive. Like, literally, they are looking at Dallas. Dallas is looking at Philly like, you're the wind beneath my wings. Like, you can fly higher than an eagle, but you are the wind beneath my wings.
Up.
Ryan Fitzmagic, I already told you, 27 completions, 39 attempts. 365 yards. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Also sacked twice. No, sorry, sacked 3 times. Devontae Parker, my bad. 7 catches, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also balled out.
I mean, this game is pretty simple. The Eagles came up in there, sleepwalking. Think that the Dolphins is going to lay down. The Eagles defense has problems, huge problems, because I don't understand how you can be up 28-14, and then all of a sudden them niggas score 23 unanswered on you. Like, nah. The Eagles just have issues. The Eagles have issues in their secondary. The Eagles have issues with their running game. The Eagles might have, dare I say, quarterback issues, because Carson Wentz, even though his numbers look very, very good from that game, it's just overall this season
has been lackluster.
It just hasn't been there. And obviously you can talk about the receivers as well not really being there. Zach Ertz, you supposed. I know Zach Ertz is there and he's playing. It's not like he's dropping pat, but it's like, hey, look, big dog. They talk about you as one of the best in this league. I haven't felt that Zach Ertz impact all year.
How was that, Minnesota?
So y'all need to get it together. You really need to get it together, because in a couple weeks Dallas is coming up in there, and that's gonna be for the division, man. That's gonna be for the division. And if you really think that the way you guys are gonna keep playing is gonna beat them, I don't care if you're at the crib. Dallas will come up watch Dallas come up in there and smack the shit out of you if you don't come up in there ready to go.
And that is facts. They will.
If Dallas plays the way that they're capable of, they can beat anybody. But that's probably what's really annoying and why they take the 2 spot on my most disappointing teams.
So next,
they're that talented. But anyway, next game.
Oklahoma went into Kansas City. They got their ass whooped, 40-9.
This game here, I had to tee off on Oakland for a little bit, and then give Kansas City some love, mainly their defense. Were niggas just up in here a couple weeks ago saying, not really like giving Oakland the highest praise, but just acknowledging, hey, we see y'all. We see y'all with the 6-4, doing y'all thing when it seemed like everybody was counting y'all niggas out. And in their last 2 games,
they found honey.
34-3 to the Jets, 40-9 to Kansas City. And now we both picked Kansas City to win that game, but it's like we sure as hell did not see. I mean, I didn't see the game being close either. I figured, Kansas City would win by like 14, but 40-9, y'all niggas just didn't show up. That's why when you even said that Josh Jacobs with all them, I'm like, I bet some of that shit was when Kansas City was not even caring about that game no more. Derek Carr, if I remember, I heard he got benched in the 3rd quarter because because of the ass whooping they were taking. I'm just like, yo. And the thing is, and this is why people gotta start looking out for Kansas City. Their defense played very, very well. The defense played very, very well. And on top of that, Patrick Mahomes, he didn't even throw for 200 yards. He didn't even throw for 200 yards. He barely was over 50% completion. But we all know that that's just an aberration for Patrick Mahomes. Aberration. So I'm like, they beat a team like that, and it seemed like, I gotta see their rushing numbers. I mean, still didn't even hit 100 yards, but it's like, for the type of game that their offense have had, that just shows that their defense was out there making plays to get them short fields so they can capitalize and really put some points on the board. So it just makes you think, like, if Kansas City's defense can really keep this up, look out for them. Don't sleep on them come playoff time. Don't sleep on them at all. Got a big game this weekend in New England, and obviously we'll get into our picks later on, but it highly would not surprise me, especially if the Chiefs' offense is on with the way the Patriots' offense been looking. I'll leave that right there. Next game.
So since you talked about people not showing up, we also have LA Rams going into Arizona. The G went off, and obviously Kyle should have played baseball. Murray looked like he should have been playing baseball.
This is one of the games where I've probably been really that disappointed in Arizona. You've caught the Rams. I mean, granted, hey, shout out to the Rams. They did what a defending NFC champion supposed to do. Their backs up against the wall, you respond. Shout out to Jared Goff. Your back's up against the wall. They're calling you out, talking about you look like you don't really deserve the money, and you come out for 400 something yards, 2 touchdowns, very good completion percentage. You know, you do what you're supposed to do. I still want to see Todd Gurley getting that ball a little bit more than usual, but they came out and showed Arizona that there's levels to this shit. And Kyler, you're just not ready yet. So, and that's basically where that is right now, because the way things are looking, it's still not looking too good for the Rams for the postseason anyway. So, because these NFC teams right now are fucking loaded.
Yeah, they're in the hunt in a weird way, but not really. Actually,
Look, their only hope right now is that Minnesota tails the fuck off.
Yeah, because I mean, they're the seventh. They're the seventh team, so they're the first team in the hunt.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
NFC.
But their only hope is that Minnesota tails off, and I just don't see that happening. I only see Minnesota potentially losing one more game, and that game is against Green Bay when Green Bay comes to town. And even that's still a game that Minnesota could pull out.
So in that
to
game,
be honest,
with LA, Jared Goff, 424 yards, 2 touchdowns. Robert Woods, 172 yards on 13 catches. Also, Tyler Higbee on 7 catches, 107 yards.
See what I'm saying? You get games like that, and you just wonder where the hell's this shit been.
Also,
that's all you can say.
About not showing up, continue with that same theme. We got Cleveland going into Pittsburgh. Flow's all yours. You got that one.
Well, shout out to my boys for pulling through. Here we go. New quarterback in, didn't matter. Mike Tomlin still showing once again why he's one of the best coaches in this league. Second best, because obviously Belichick is oof, and then everybody falls in after that. But Mike Tomlin once again proving why he should be coach of the year. He just puts in a new quarterback, the third string. You just see that what was going on before was not getting it done for you. And we put this dude in and we get it done. And, I mean, but these Browns, man, these Browns. Wow, these Cleveland Browns.
as you talk about them
the more I watch them, the more I get happy that I was not one of those people who was sipping their sauce at the beginning of the year. Because I was just like, okay, when I saw what they were doing, I immediately thought of that 2011 Eagles team that was all put together and was supposed to do this, that, and the third, and all of this stuff, and they barely got to 8-8. No playoffs, no nothing. So it's just like, all right, cool. All of y'all are put together and stuff, but it's like, can you come together as a team? Right now, you're just a bunch of individuals. Not only are you just a bunch of individuals, you're a bunch of individuals who haven't even been on a winning team like that. Odell had 1 year on a winning team, and that 1 year, he spent that week leading up to the playoff game partying it up in Miami. Now, for me personally, I had no problem with that, but what you needed to do in that playoff game was ball the fuck out, and you didn't do that. You folded, dropping a couple touchdown passes.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it. I want to put him in the bed because he's a piece of food. Get filthy animals.
Basically. And they got drubbed. They got dragged the fuck out of Green Bay. So
OJ gets this award for on-field stuff. He doesn't get off for like the off-field stuff. He gets this for his on-field lackluster shit.
Even on the field this year, he ain't looking top dollar.
As Dallas pull out a victory against Minnesota, now we also got Portland and Sacramento on the back. Portland is up 64-60. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, you good. But yeah, these Cleveland Browns, and I feel like their play, it definitely results as coming from their head coach, man. I don't know what the hell this man was thinking. I don't give a damn if your daughter made a shirt for you, but to wear a shirt in public and to allow yourself to get posted on social media wearing a shirt that says Pittsburgh started it, like, are you dumb? Like, are you seriously dumb? Like, what did you think that was gonna do? If I'm Mike Tomlin, I see that, I just start laughing because I'm like,
we got him.
I don't even need to rile my team up.
Got him.
All I need to do is say,
You see what he's doing?
you see what he's doing right here? This is what he was wearing. He wearing a shirt out here saying Pittsburgh started it. Y'all know what to do with it. Yeah, Pittsburgh might have started it, but we damn sure finished it as well. Because you do some dumb shit like that. It's just the overall pettiness, and it's like, you just question the makeup of this team, and it's like, the more you watch them, it's like, yo, Kitchens should have never been the coach of this team. What the fuck was John Dorsey doing listening to John Dorsey, a.k.a. the GM of the team? What was he doing listening to Mayfield to get that dude as the head coach? It's like, the fuck? This dude is a fucking rookie. What the hell? What kind of say-so does he have?
This action by him help you put their whole entire season in perspective. Like, when you see how they've underperformed all season,
it explains all the fucking penalties that they get week after week after week.
Because remember a couple weeks ago when we talked about how Cleveland was going to lose, I was like, oh, they'll penalize themselves to death.
Straight
They
up.
still are the most penalized team in football, which has been consistent with the Cleveland Browns for the last 20 years.
And it stems from their head coach that they have right now out here wearing shirts that saying Pittsburgh started it at a movie theater on a Friday. A fucking Friday when you know you have to prepare for a team to go play.
So
on the road.
So
it's like, your head's not even in the game. If you have time 2 days before the game to go go to the movie theater and post up pics with fans, no, I don't need you as my head coach. Fuck that.
So 100%. This, like I said, it ended up making it make sense. Once you saw him, okay. Clipper. Talking about also not showing up. Actually, I shouldn't say.
Good amount of teams.
I shouldn't say that he didn't show up, but we were let down again by the Sultan of Cream Pies.
Oh.
as we both picked on Phillip Rivers to win.
Philly Riv, Philly Riv, Philly Riv, Philly Riv.
It really is tough trying to figure out when he's gonna get a W. Because I feel like he doesn't get a W for like 3 weeks, and then you pick him, and then he finally gets one, and that's the game you don't pick him in, and then you try to get him some love because you feel like, okay, you should get some now that he's winning the game, and he doesn't get him, then they are never a disappointing team. When we talk about disappointing team, the Chargers are disappointing as well.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why I don't consider them
Cream pie poppy.
Here's why I don't consider them, the Rams, and I know I got another team that's just not coming.
Not the
to
Rams
mind.
so much, because the Rams are like 7-4, 7-5.
Here's why I'm gonna put both of them, because some people were actually considering the Rams as a team that could get right back to the Super Bowl. I wasn't sipping that sauce. Both of these teams, very, very beginning of the season, you know, you do your teams who you think are going to be in the playoffs. I took both of these teams out. I didn't have either one making the playoffs. Either one. I felt like the Rams were going to fall to that Super Bowl hangover. And I just felt like the Chargers, after what I saw them do in New England, I was done with them. I was done. I didn't pick them to even beat the Patriots that game, but I sure as hell thought that it was going to be a good game. I was going to be highly entertained, and they lay that type of egg. Oh nah, I was done with them niggas after that. And I thought that the ass whooping that they got from there was going to slide over into this season, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So those two are definitely two teams that I was just like, nah, I'm not sipping their sauce for the playoffs. For sure.
No.
So that's why I don't consider the Chargers under TVT. And then on top of that, they had a good stretch where I think it was like 6-7 weeks they didn't even have their running back because he was holding out for new money. And then when he came back, he had a couple games where he looked good, and then he had a stretch where it was like, you're not looking so good. So
there was somebody's sauce that you were sipping, though, the way you sipping on that cup. And that was when we had New England going up against Houston. And you picked the evil empire to win.
Something told me.
You went to the dark side.
Something told me to pick those fucking Houston Texans. Something told me. I took New England for the strict fact that it was like, you know what? Just the New England aura was just like a game like this. It's tailor made for them, and something told me even after I made that pick, nah, let me take that back. Let me take that back. Pick Houston. And as we got closer and closer, I'm like, Houston gonna take the game. When the game started, I was literally like, Houston's gonna win this game. Houston's gonna win this game. Sure enough, Houston wins the game. Because Deshaun Watson, once again, proved that as long as you have him, nigga, you have a shot. You got a shot.
It was a good shot. And I was hoping that they saw the formula on how to beat them from Baltimore and how to take advantage of them since they hadn't played any good teams and they are a good team. And they took advantage of them. And it starts making these last couple of games start to be interesting for New England because Buffalo's right there. And Buffalo's going to take some losses too. Buffalo's got some tough games coming up too.
Buffalo got
see, that's the reason why I wanted last week. I wanted Dallas to win so bad. See, now you understand why I wanted Dallas to win so bad last week? Because if Dallas would have won last week, then they took another L this week, they're tied with Buffalo. And now you start to see the sweat really start to trickle. Then Buffalo has a rough week this week, so this is gonna put another like 2-game separation, which would have been tough.
Yeah, Buffalo's got Baltimore this week. I don't know about that.
Exactly, and we know, and we both already see how we're going with that one.
So Baltimore got a nice defense. Well, actually, no, their run defense, which is what Baltimore excels at. Last time I heard it was middle of the pack, like 17th. So
I want you to take a peek at the screen behind you with the stats. Okay, I'll move on to the next game while he looks at that. You don't see the score yet, but I just want you to take a look at those numbers. Right?
Brooklyn.
We
must
had
have kicked the
Minnesota
shit out of
going
them.
into Seattle. We both had Seattle winning this game. And
Because I
Seattle,
don't trust Kirk, not my cousins, in big games. Although, in Kirk, not my cousin's defense, I'm not putting that game on him. I'm not going to. Because obviously, from watching that game start to finish, that game got out of hand because of other people not making plays or fucking up. Dalvin Cook fumbled the ball. Well, you fumble the ball in Seattle, give Russell Wilson a short field. What the fuck you think is going to happen?
W's or L's, depending on which side of the ball you're at.
Kirk Cousins throws a routine out route to Stephon Diggs, hits him right in the hands. He has it, doesn't hold on to it, and then next thing you know, it's picked off. Both of those plays, Seattle scored touchdowns off of. That's how the game got at least wide open. And at least Kirk got them to a one-possession game. You know what I'm saying? And that fourth down that he threw to, when he threw the guy, had the ref threw a flag for PI, I wouldn't blame him because the guy was kind of all over him. But I think that's within that 5-yard area where you can kind of do what you want to do with the receiver. So I guess whatever, but had a ref threw a flag on that shit, I'd have been like, I mean, shit, you were kind of mugging him up a little bit. But either way, a game like that is just once again why I can't trust Minnesota when it comes to big games. It's like, for one, they're already snake bitten. As a franchise, the type of gut-wrenching losses that Minnesota has in their history, and if there's any Viking fans listening, I know you're hurting. Just think, because I know you're thinking about 1998. I know you're thinking about 2000. I know you're thinking about 2009. I know you're even thinking about a couple years ago when you had the Minnesota Miracle and you thought that you was gonna go to the Super Bowl, and then you get to Philly and you get your asses handed to you on a silver platter. That team is just snake bitten. Just once you think you got it, and then all of a sudden it's just stolen from you. So just crazy. And you add that with a quarterback who notoriously can't win the big game. Bad combination, man. $84 million guaranteed player, by the way. Fully guaranteed. Whole contract. But needless to say, let's just go on and make our picks for this week.
No.
So we can get done and get out of here.
So you know
I
how
know we're running up on time.
So you know out of all the stuff that was said this week, you know what the most shocking thing that I've heard this week was? Eli's going to start.
Heard that too. I was like, oh wow. Mr. Daniel Jones
I was like,
got hurt.
Eli? I was
Daniel
like,
Jones
oh.
got hurt. Looks like it's gonna be an early Monday night for me.
Man,
I love Eli, but once I heard that, I was
talking
like,
about the
shit.
statue on the center, like that is going to be some rough business that's gonna go on there
Against the Philly team that just lost to Miami. Hi.
So let's just get into it then.
Yeah.
First up, we got Dallas going into Chicago.
Woo. Whew. Why does my gut tell me to pick the Bears?
My gut tell me to pick the Bears too, but I won't be doing that.
Neither am I. I think I'm gonna take the Cowboys.
Which, if Dallas does lose though,
boy, let's not even go there.
that is gonna be some shit
for the Cowboys and the Cowboys fans' sake. Let's not even go there.
Next up, we got Carolina going into Atlanta.
Ugh.
Yeah, I have no clue where to go with this one either because
I don't
you
either.
just lost your head coach and anything can happen in it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pick Atlanta to win at home.
Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta.
Yeah, I gotta take Atlanta.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I got to. Trust me. As much as it pains me, I know I said I wasn't picking them niggas no more. But Carolina
this is already two picks we're both regretting. Okay, here's a good way I think we're both going to split that next. We got Indy going into Tampa Bay.
You really gonna pick turnover chain?
So I take it we are splitting here. And I don't want to go against Indy in this one. But I'm doing this to bother you a little.
Oh, God. You annoy me. You annoy me.
And it's possible. And he has, and the bad thing about it is this is probably the game he does his worst because he had 2 good games. He's due to have a 5 interception game.
Definitely give me the Colts.
It would be,
especially with the way the Colts been looking lately. I know they're not happy about how they.
And they're trying to still see if they can stay alive as well. Because listen, we talked about the LA Rams having playoff hope. Well, listen, Colts have a slim chance as well too. So they're looking for one as well. So
exactly,
this would be the game that they would like to win if they can.
Give me Tannehill and Derrick Henry and all of those niggas.
Yeah, see, you said Tannehill. I'm already out. So I'm going with Tampa Bay. I'll rather take Mr. Turnover Chain. I know that he didn't go to that school. Mr. Infamous Jameis Winston.
Crab legs ass nigga.
Next we got Miami going into New York. I'm picking my Jets. I can't not pick my Jets.
Guess I'm taking the Dolphins then.
The Jets need to redeem themselves. After that, we have San Francisco going to New Orleans. I can't talk about that game.
About what game? The Jets game? Yeah, we won't do that.
So we got San Francisco going to New Orleans.
I'll take the 49ers, man. I'll take the 49ers. Trust me, I don't want to because I think I actually even picked the Saints before the season to go to the Super Bowl. Real talk. It's just like
it's okay. You'll hear in a second why I'm laughing.
It's just these close calls by the Saints lately. They don't look as sharp, but then again, obviously, if there's one team that can turn it on, turn it off, that is the one team. It obviously definitely would not surprise me if Breeze turned back the clock and really was just on point with it, and Michael Thomas got me 150, and Kamara decided to, come through with 150 total yards, scrimmage yards type shit, and the Saints win a nail-biting, like 31-24, something like that. However, the way San Francisco is looking, man, that defense and that run game, that shit travels, man. So I got to take the 49ers.
That's a tough game to pick as well because I like everything about the 49ers. And I like me some Richard Sherman. I like what the defense is doing. New Orleans was my Super Bowl pick as well. That's the reason why I can't go against them in this game because if I'm going to pick them to win the Super Bowl, this is the type of game that they need to win. And while San Francisco is
trust me, I'm leaning more towards Seattle getting to the Super Bowl for me right now more than New Orleans.
Yeah. So if New Orleans is gonna be that team, then this could be the game that they're gonna win. And San Francisco, like we're gonna find out.
This is gonna be a big game. This right here might be bigger than the 49ers Ravens game last week because this game right here. This is going to tell me a lot about the Saints. It's going to tell me a lot about the Saints, man.
Remember, they're both 10-2.
Absolutely.
And they're both looking to see if they can...
It's going to tell me a lot about the Saints.
To see if they can get into what is considered that bye week. They've got it. Basically,
right.
This is
going to tell me a lot about the Saints.
This is an early game to determine the bye week.
It's going to tell me a lot about the Saints because the Saints have had games where I'm like, what? And the Saints have had other games where I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
This right here, this is it.
And you know
this is gonna tell me what I need to know about the Saints come playoff time. This right here.
I'm gonna tell you something weird about the Saints, and this may be the biggest justification to go against them this week. To be a 10-2 team, I feel like they have more than 2 losses. And when I think about the Saints this year, I feel like they have more than 2 losses. But when you look at the record books, like, oh no, it's only 2. Like I feel like they have somewhere between 3 or 4 losses for some reason. Like maybe they had a couple of close games where things just didn't look good, or as it didn't look convincing maybe. And it could be some of those games where people were doubting if Drew Brees should have been the quarterback for that team because they didn't.
Don't get me started with that.
They didn't see things being projected up. It still looked like the same exact team when Teddy Bridgewater was there. And that could have been the reason for some of that talk. I told you that at the time. I'm not saying it's justified to put Teddy Bridgewater, but I can see why they were questioning it because it looked still the same. And Drew Brees, as an offensive leader of a team, should never look the same as Teddy Bridgewater. If he does, you think something is wrong.
This is my man is 40, you know. Father Time is undefeated, son. But all I know is, especially the game that I really stuck my neck out for Breeze, 30 of 39, 311, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So,
no gripes. We got Detroit going into Minnesota.
Minnesota next.
I'm picking Minnesota as well. Then we got Detroit. Then we got Denver going into Houston.
Houston next.
I got Houston as well. Then we got Baltimore going into Buffalo.
Ay, ay, ay. Woo, shit, man.
Hold on,
I'm taking
Baltimore.
Baltimore. I gotta take Baltimore.
I'm highlighting my answer now. So
I gotta take Baltimore.
Okay.
That run defense of Buffalo being middle of the pack, only 17.
Let's do that.
And then on top of that, like I said, if it wasn't for the Cowboys being stupid and just not giving Elliott the ball last week, he was gonna feast all day on them.
That is so big.
So now, that was just Zeke. Now you got to deal with Lamar and Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards. And no.
I think I may want to watch this game with some Buffalo fans. I'm gonna be rooting for Buffalo in this game. Only because I want things to remain interesting in the AFC.
Oh yeah, trust
top.
me. If Buffalo wins, it's beautiful. It'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful because when is the last time the Patriots really had to sweat it out?
Exactly.
With Brady playing.
Exactly.
Trust me.
So
I would not. It would not bother me at all if Buffalo won this game. Don't get it twisted.
We have. I was just getting there. Cincinnati going into Cleveland.
Ugh. This is definitely an ain't nobody care game.
It really is.
Cleveland next.
We both agree with that one.
Gonna
Next we got Washington going into Green Bay.
Green Bay next.
There we go. Okay. So next we got the LA Chargers and the Cream Pie Poppy taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are both 4-8.
This is definitely an ain't nobody care game. However, the only reason I'm gonna say Jacksonville is because they put Minshew Mania back in that shit. So it might give the energy, might give the team some juice.
I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna do it. I'm officially.
Trust me, if Jacksonville fucks me this game, I'm done with these niggas. I'm done with these niggas.
I'm officially insane with Phillip Rivers. I must be. I have to be. I have given him the nickname that he cannot pull out for a reason. And every single other week, and sometimes on back-to-back weeks, I pick him to win. And I'm going to do it again this week. And I'm telling you, for some reason, I want to change my Dallas and Chicago pick.
Bro, listen, okay? That one right there, I'm telling you.
I keep wanting to change that pick. They're both 6-6. I wouldn't be surprised if that defense gobbles them up.
You wouldn't surprise me in the cold, too.
I'm picking Chicago. I'm switching that one. I am picking Chicago. For that one.
Road game? Nah, I ain't gonna lie. Put me for Chicago too. Put me for Chicago. Thursday night
because they haven't been using Ezekiel Elliott. So they're not gonna be running that game like that. So they're gonna gobble him up and gobble everything else up.
Thursday night game in the Chicago cold. They seem to be playing better. Defense, oh yeah, nah. Give me that. Give me that Bears defense, man. Give me the Bears. Give me the Bears.
So next we get Tennessee going into Oakland.
Tennessee.
I'm going to Oakland. Oh, this is gonna be an interesting week.
Tennessee, man.
Because I am definitely going Oakland on this one.
Derrick Henry been just running that thing, man.
I'm having faith in the Y2 banana 2 split. All right, so next we move into Seattle, taking on the LA Rams.
Oh man, I have no reason to pick against Russell Wilson, man. I mean,
oh wait, I think I just skipped one. But it's okay because we're both going with Seattle over the LA Rams anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We have Kansas City going into New England.
Woo! How the hell did we skip this one? This is big.
I just skipped it. It was very
nice. This right here.
Oh wait, do I
not
have
gonna
that
lie.
highlighted? No, I don't want that highlighted. No.
This game and the 49ers Saints game, these two games right here might be the biggest games of the whole year because it's gonna tell you a lot about certain teams. It's gonna tell you a lot. If the Chiefs go into New England and win, it will really validate this struggling offense of New England. I think
it really will because
that's three. That would be 3.
That'll be the 3. And not even just 3 games in a row. That'll be the 3. It'll be the 3 future quarterbacks. It will be Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, and now Patrick Mahomes.
Pat got hose.
It'll be all 3 of them in 1 year, back to back to back, like a Dre diss track.
Like, I'm telling you, but the thing is, man, like,
and to make this question,
I can't. New England's defense has been lit, yeah, but it's like when they face teams that have some real type of offense,
mobile quarterbacks, good arms, different arm trajectories.
I'm just like, if Mahomes and them can show up,
defenses that are used to running after them and not stationing after you targets.
So the thing is, like, if Mahomes can show up like he did against just even Denver or even Tennessee or even just last week against Oakland, just get 30. Just get 30 on that board. You really think that Brady's offense can keep up with them and put 30? The way they've been looking? Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take Kansas City on this one.
I'm going with Kansas City as well, but also because I want the chaos. I told you I went with Buffalo over Baltimore earlier for the chaos. And it's the only reason why I went against the culture. It's the only reason why I went against the culture, because nothing tells me I should pick Buffalo. But I want the chaos. And I want Buffalo to get that W for the chaos. Because I want New England to lose here against Kansas City as well to add to that chaos. But
I tell you one thing, man, you can only keep doubting the GOAT for so long, son.
You're right. You are right.
You can only keep doing it for so long. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before
I just needed to look.
The shit snaps, and then it's like, and this could be the game because, like I said, I mean, Kansas City defense been playing better, but it's not like we expect them to be world beaters. So I definitely feel like Brady should be able to get his on that defense come Sunday.
They can eat. There's definitely a chance for them to eat. I'm rooting for the chaos. I am definitely rooting for the chaos.
Oh, trust me. I made my picks, but I'm definitely down.
Just
for
like
the foolishness.
In that chaos too, is also the Monday night game. New York Giants going into Philly.
Oh, Philly next.
And
especially once I heard Eli might start next, Philly.
Exactly. Then we gotta get Philly. We both want Philly to win here because once again, it adds to that chaos that's gonna happen in Dallas. Because
of course,
listen, Dallas has to win to be able to get tied again, or to stay ahead of Philly.
Yeah.
So when Philly wins this game, there goes everything reset all over again.
And I'd be so happy.
Exactly. There goes the both of them being tied. And then here we go looking into week 15. And then when week 15 rolls around and we have, is that the week when they finally play?
I think it's 16.
I think so too. I think that was the next to last week that they finally play. Philly plays Washington in week 15.
Yeah.
Which we're going to assume that they win. If they're if they're tied at this point, Philly takes on Washington and they should win that game. Next, we'll have Dallas taking on the LA Rams. That can go either way.
I ain't gonna lie, Rams
So that could be,
might get
so
them
that could
niggas.
have them one behind, and then in week
Rams might get
16
them niggas that
we
game.
have Dallas taking on Philly. So if Dallas win that game, then they'll be tied again. And then in week 17, it'll be whoever wins if Dallas beat Washington, which they should.
Yeah.
Or if Philly could beat the Giants again, which they also should. And at this point in time, Philly should have one game back. So yeah, see, I'm rooting for the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rooting for a lot of chaos. Because if the Bills win and Patriots lose, we're talking Ravens 10-3. Pittsburgh 10-3. Bills 10-3.
Woo.
Chaos everywhere. Houston would have just won their game. They would have been right there now, 9-4. Chiefs would have won their game. They're also 9-4 with a victory over the Patriots. Baltimore has a victory over the Patriots as well, so you already know where that tiebreaker's going.
You know what I'm saying?
If Houston continues to win, they're one game behind. They have the tiebreaker over the Patriots.
Shit.
I am rooting for the chaos. But we're going to have to continue rooting for the chaos another day. Because you know what we're about to do?
We about to say goodnight.
Yes. We're about
Say
to
goodnight.
officially end the show. So, if you've been listening to the show, as always, we appreciate the love. Listening to the show, listening
One
to
love,
it.
baby, one love.
Especially if you're listening to it live. This is for you, everybody, all the listeners. Like
Big up
that's for
yourself.
you. Listen, we love the fact that that you always take the time out to listen to the podcast, whether it's live on mytsports.net or on the re-airs of the many places that you can listen to: iTunes, TuneIn, Podbean, Spotify. Doesn't matter.
Or my IG live.
There you go. You can catch on IG Night. See, they go to 10 minutes. Oh Lord, see. So, KJ, you say goodbye to people.
People, we love you. We appreciate you. Week in and week out. We love doing this shit for you. Y'all stay safe. Watch out for the crackers and the assholes on the road out here. And we'll catch y'all on the flip side next week, son. Word up.
And you know that was slang for cops.
Basically.
And you know, as I always say, let the optimism of tomorrow be your foundation for today.
Mellow!
I am your host, I am your host, Alan Thomar Taylor, the Brooklyn Buzzsaw. You know, Brooklyn's favorite son.
Brooklyn.
And I am out of here. Yow!
Sorry, boys. All the stitches in the world can't sew me together again. Lay down. Lay down.
You like Melo's going to the line?
Always knew I'd make a stop there.
I want to say Melo and
But a
Travis
lot
Greenman
later
used to be
than the whole
teammates.
gang of people thought.
Maybe.
Last call for drinks. Bars closing down. Sun's out. Where we going for breakfast? Don't want to go far. Rough night. Tired, baby. Tired.
MyT Sports.